Hello. Welcome back to the Mover and Gonky. Hold on, Wombat. Let's put you where you need to be. Welcome back to the
Hello,
Mover
everyone.
and Gonky show. Streaming everywhere except Rumble because the stream key just failed on me right as we went live. So we're on Twitch. Twitch, X, Facebook, Gonky's channel, my channel, all the channels. Welcome. We have our guest host tonight, T.R. Matson, Mustang driver.
Wombat.
Actually, T.R. Matson.
Oh boy.
And we begin.
You're now. You teased this earlier. What is this thing?
I think it's a Volkswagen.
I was going to say, it looks like a
This is
Volkswagen
what
to me.
we're looking at for the podcast people at home
Is
that are
it,
driving. They could be driving to Thanksgiving right now, listening to our podcast. Imagine that.
It's just a little red,
Corvette.
commuter airport car.
Mover, what this tells people is if they can make it to the status of guest on our show, they're going to be, this is what they're
Yeah, he
gonna
didn't
be.
have that before the Mover and
No.
Gonky show became a
That's a
thing.
fact. That's a fact. It's the
You're
fame
welcome,
and
Wombat.
fortune.
Yeah.
We need to discuss my salary.
Hey,
That is
hey,
Wombat,
Doug.
author of Vengeance Flight, Treason Flight. He is the he's going to make his debut on DCS here in a little bit, right?
Oh boy.
I think so. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's the
Yeah,
air boss.
And- Since we've seen you, you lost an entire Luna.
Your dog is fat.
Wow. And Wombat's gone. We'll see you guys later. Wow, dude. Wow. Why are you calling her fat? Dude, I'm trying to pay you a compliment
Thank
and you throw some spears at my dog.
you. Not throwing speed. Your dog's not that much.
She's not fat anymore.
No, she's
Well, no,
yeah. I've met her personally. She's
Gonky met her. She lost
she's
a bunch of weight.
police. She's a police dog.
Yeah,
She's got
she's
a-
lost a bunch.
Oh,
Just
dude.
like your dramatic journey, she has lost weight too. Although if she lost the amount of weight that you lost, it would be an entire Luna.
She
But you know what? I'm not sure I like Skinny Wombat because you're mean.
You're right.
That's not true. I
You
was
were a lot
mean as fat
nicer.
wombat.
You were a lot nicer and jollier back
The food
before.
calms you down, man.
Either that or it's the Porsche. One of these two things has changed, and all of a sudden,
I literally got a text right before we started from a very good friend. And the last thing he texted me, because he knew I was coming on, is he goes, make sure that everybody knows that you're better than them because you have a Porsche now. So it's funny that you say that.
Porsche.
That's
You
what
got
they
a
say. It actually says that.
Porsche.
So the owner's manual, I'm not making this up. I could show you. It literally says how to say it.
I
In
learned
the
that from
owner's manual.
Cars. When I watch Cars, that's when I learned how to properly say.
It's
Porsche.
hilarious. It's hilarious to me. Like the phonetic. It's hilarious. Anyway.
Porsche.
It's pronounced BMW.
Ooh.
It is not.
Shots fired. Hey, Doug. Welcome back. I hadn't seen you in a minute.
I've been
So-
coming and going, trying to figure things out.
Yeah.
Aren't we all?
Gonky, how was your weekend, man? Do anything fun? Any more motobiking?
Yeah, of course. I did my me and my boy went out to the local track, and yeah, man, just a normal weekend. I tried to keep it low key since I came out on my venture. So video's about 70% done. So
Another 3 months.
dude, I'm working as hard as I
6
can.
to
on
9
that.
months between
So
videos.
4 months.
Expect low quality, and then if it's somewhat decent, you'll be pleasantly surprised.
Yeah, that's funny.
Gonky, it's a labor of love. The editing is the best part.
Yeah.
Is it?
No.
So it's the opposite of writing a book.
Editing's
No,
cool unless you got
no,
kids like crawling
no,
all over
it's
you.
Not, it's not good.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
Exactly.
All right. Well, let's move on to we've finished the welcome/banter, and we all hate each other now. So we're off to a good start.
This truly is like a ready room. Let's be
Truly,
honest.
Thanks for that. Pay a guy a compliment. Next thing you know, shots fired at my dog.
We can talk.
Which,
What do
by
you
the
want
way,
to
she's doing
talk
great.
about?
Just in
I'm
case
sure
you're
she
wondering,
is.
she's
I
doing
love
great.
your
Well, Mover,
time.
what did you and the dog do this weekend?
Yeah.
Oh, I lost the. Hold on, I gotta upload the video file here.
This
Give me a
is good.
second.
This is good
It
stuff.
was.
This is excellent stuff.
Is it excellent stuff?
I love it,
don't
dude.
know.
I love it. I don't know.
I don't know. It was so. here's the backstory. Last minute, like a week or two ago, I got a call from our public information officer and said, "Hey, you ever heard of Mutts to Models?" I said, "No idea what that means." And she said, "There's a gala,
Oh my God, I could say so many
the
things.
Mercedes-Benz. You'll like this, Wombat, at the Mercedes-Benz dealership, and it's to benefit this Marty Paws, Scott's Wish. Like, there's all these charities that it benefits, and canines that come back from deployment that don't have care, they get money to them. Like, there's a whole bunch of stuff that it does."
Sure.
But she goes, "Do you want to bring Luna?" And I'm like, "Well, she's a community relations dog. That's our whole job with the sheriff's office. She's a comfort canine. We go do the stuff that the real canines don't want to do, because you don't want to bring a bite dog to something like this. So we go and
they want to rip your face off. That's their job.
We are the kinder, gentler version of this." And I said, "Well, you're going to be walking the runway." And I said, "We're going to do what now?" And she said, "No, you're going to walk the runway." And I'm like, "Well, that sounds interesting." And so I looked at the
chaps.
thing. Yeah,
I was going to say, did you ask if you were the
my
mud
G
or
suit
the
with
model?
nothing under it? So Lolo Jones was hosting, and I was like, "Well, Luna needs a mom." But what you soon find out, though, is that when you show up to any of these events in uniform, you're not showing up like Wombat with his Porsche. You're showing up as a man in uniform, which means all the rich people just look right through you. Like, you are the help. Just stay out of sight. In fact, when I showed up to introduce myself and say, "Hey, we brought Luna," she's like, "Well, I don't need security right now." Like, what do you mean? She's like, "You're with the detail, right? You're part of the detail, the security." I'm like,
"That's
"No,
hilarious."
ma'am.
Like,
We're
good, because
supposed
you're
to
not
be
getting it.
walking. We're in the first group." They're like, "You're not on the list." I'm like, "Well, that's cool." They're like, "No,
Yeah,
wait, here you are. You're the right end right here." So they moved us all the way dead last. So it was supposed to be like a 10-minute in out, you're done. It ended up being like a 2-hour ordeal, which was fun. Luna was great. Dude, there was $1 million worth of cars between 3 cars in the parking lot. They had a Maybach with a V12 and some other cars. Anyway, all right, here's the video.
I think it's cool. It's cool.
You ready? And here is
now Deputy Lemoine is with St. Tammany Sheriff, and he is with therapy dog Luna.
Dude's awesome.
Dude, I love Luna's personality.
Oh yeah,
I got this. I got this.
Mover, you're more nervous than she is.
Oh, hands down.
So my goal in all this, because you just never know with dogs. You never know. My goal was, number one, not get lost, because as you can see here,
I know what your goal was.
It's not easy. Somebody went the wrong way. Like 3 or 4 people turned right instead of left. So my goal was to, number one, not get lost. And number two, when Luna got to the end, one dog tried to jump off. So I was making sure she didn't do that. And then
don't trip.
Number 3, not face plant myself with Luna, and her start just try to pull somewhere or do something. And so I just wanted to look like we were a professional team. That's it. That was my whole goal, was to look like we knew what we were doing and that we were a trained team. So that was it. It's, what it reminds me? It reminded me of, you guys have done flyovers, right? And you know what they say, the best you can do is break even. The absolute best you can do. You don't, because they're like, "Well, how come you didn't do a loop to a barrel roll and stuff?" It's like, because I don't want to lose my entire wings and career and everything. Now, granted, that'll happen later in life, but you don't want to lose it right then and there, when all you need to do is walk a straight line, turn around and walk a straight line back. That's your whole job in this thing. And flying over a stadium, whatever, you have one purpose: look professional. Don't do anything stupid.
Oh yeah.
And that's my whole goal. That was it. Although
you did it.
Yeah. So
you could have spun, like you could have done a little spin.
No, that would have wound up with me breaking my neck, falling off the stage. No, I feel like if we'd have done that, you don't want to go viral. You don't want to go.
I mean, isn't that why we're all here?
We want to go viral because of the intelligent things we say on this podcast. We don't want to go viral because of.
Hold on, that was never written to me in the mission statement.
What he's trying to
once
say is
about
we
this
don't want to go like cancel. Viral.
Oh, we'll get there at the end. We got the
That's true.
cancel. We're going to get canceled by the end of the night. Don't worry.
Okay.
All right.
It's funny
So-
that your goals were different than what my goal would have been, but
Yeah. Well, I'm not an Avi Turner, and you guys just whatever. All right.
should've
We got a
blue
couple.
steeled it right at the end. That would have been awesome. Just the blue steel into the camera and then turned around.
All right. So Griff says, I guess the books are selling well, Wombat. Here's some gas money. Watch the rest of the show after work.
Thanks, Griff. That's awesome.
That's
Griff
really
clearly
awesome.
doesn't understand that one of the things that pilots do is not make smart financial decisions. That's
Hey,
actually in the job description.
John says, here's my contribution for the Mover Porsche payment
Oh,
fund.
Nice.
There you go.
I'm available for co-hosting, by the way, since the car is included. I want somebody needs to fund Mover's Daytona dreams. That's what I'm wasting my money. I'm sorry, spending my money on. That's my investment. I don't have anywhere to daily drive, so I'm good right now. Ryan says, hey guys, how does the Navy switching to, SM2 Block 3, the active version, and ESSM Block 2 impact flight ops off the ships? Thanks, Tomcats. I only knew Tomcats in that entire sentence, so you guys do it.
No idea.
Well,
That's Gonky's world.
Are we going to jail? Is that something we can't talk about?
Yeah, probably.
flight ops off the ship. Well, it's not unless the ship's being attacked. So
Yeah.
that's about all we can say about that.
Is it like the Patriot where they'll shoot you down?
The SM2 shooters, man. I mean, they're the air defense
Yeah.
on the ship. So
Yeah.
$5 Canadian is not enough to go to jail, dude. That won't pay half the bail.
Sorry, Ryan.
Yeah. Garrett says, happy Thanksgiving, guys. Welcome back, Wombat. Of course, welcome back, Wombat.
Thanks, Garrett.
Helping to contribute to the Mover and Gonky Porsche fund. Oh, dude, we can have matching.
I like
We
that
could
this
have-
is what's going to start.
Gonky could get a white one. I can get a blue one. And we're the most American
patriotic.
Euro snobs in the
Yeah,
planet.
We're all three driving
German
German
engineered
vehicles.
with red, white, and blue. Yep. And it's probably in metric. Justin says,
love it.
sadly, I must go to bed as I'm on the Thanksgiving meal team for my DFAC. But we'll
Oh,
get to
yeah.
that in a minute. How often did y'all ever eat at mess while serving?
I'd
all
go
the time
to-
on the ship.
All the time. Yeah.
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 You go to the DFAC when you're deployed for sure. I go on drill weekends because they're actually not too bad.
Yeah, I'm gonna start going on drill weekends
Yeah.
apparently. So
Oh, that made me think of something, and now I've forgotten. Something for our banter. I'll think of it
Mm.
later.
It'll come back.
Yeah. I'll come back. Happy Thanksgiving. Porsche or not, it's the driver, not the car.
thanks, Jason.
Yeah.
Okay.
I've
I
got a
can't fix
video.
the driver.
I've got a video of my BMW getting passed that would indicate otherwise.
Yeah.
Sorry. Oh, that's funny.
Doug, how are you doing, man? We're bantering without you. How are you this evening?
I'm over here trying to get my act together with all these tabs and Discord links, and I'm doing well. I'm
We-
feeling
the
healthy. I'm
show does
nervous
not-
out again.
Uber only told me two things we're talking about, and you have that many tabs open.
Yeah.
Right.
All right. Moving on. Something kind of breaking news and sad for our folks down in Australia. There was an S211 mishap.
Would you like me to read pieces of it?
Please
Just
do.
got this link, so
They call it the Viper.
This was in Essendon Airport, which is in Australia, right?
Yeah.
Search is underway for pilot and passenger who were on board a small military-style jet that crashed into water off Melbourne's Mornington Peninsula after a mid-air collision. Australian Maritime Safety Authority said two light aircrafts, Mover, collided over Port Phillip Bay on Sunday afternoon, with one of the planes crashing into the water. They were both Italian-made Viper S211 Marchettis, which are often used for military training. The second plane subsequently landed safely, so that's good.
Yeah.
That's pretty much it.
That is thanks, Doug. That's
Wow.
we talked about this the last, I think, midair we talked about was the Ukrainian one, the L-39s that took juice. You really, obviously we're not going to speculate on what happened, but you really feel for the families of those involved, but then the person that made it back.
Yeah.
You know, the toll it takes on being the one that lands and knowing that your buddy, flight lead, fellow student, classmate is still out there. That's rough. So, I mean,
Survivor's guilt, right? That's,
yeah. So they're definitely in our thoughts, and you know, hopefully, yeah, that's pretty terrible.
Yeah, I
All
don't know
right.
I don't know how Australia runs their I don't know a lot about the civilian side of flying in Australia, but I wonder if they were like, you know, kind of like sometimes here in the States, you have ex-military guys that stand up these places you can go to get some military experience. I wonder if it was one of those kind of outfits, man. But yeah,
Was
it's too
this not?
bad.
Did the article not say Australian military?
Oh, was it? I didn't know they flew
Yeah.
it
this.
said that it's often used by the military, but it
Oh,
didn't
okay. I'm
specifically
sorry.
state that it
I
was.
didn't know.
Yeah.
Yeah, you
Either
would
way.
think, because the Viper, I think the S211, like there's various variants of the S211. I think that's one of the more like proliferated, like upgraded. Because I think the Philippines, there's certain countries that actually use it in their thing.
Oh, and like a attack roll.
Attack or training. You know, when we were doing the fights on
Right.
stuff, we were gonna use S211s, and I think
Right.
they'd come from somewhere in Asia, Southeast Asia. So, all right. Yeah, sucks. Gonky, this is your article. Or I see, Doug. Do you have the China addresses pilot shortage, Doug? Is that what's queued up? I see. Is that
It is now.
all right? Gonky, hit it.
Doug, are you gonna read it or what?
I can read some. The Chinese Navy has expanded its pilot recruitment drive to include postgraduate students in a bid to overcome shortfalls in personnel. In the recently announced recruitment plan for 2024, the Navy of the People's Liberation Army has for the first time extended eligibility to candidates expected to receive a postgraduate degree next year, and then it goes behind a paywall.
Yeah, I read through this article earlier, and
Did you get past the paywall?
I did. I don't know how. Maybe because I read it on my phone. I don't know, but it just struck me as kind of funny. Like, oh, look, the Chinese are also having a recruiting.
You told me about this. There were some of the other things that they were doing, right?
Right. So a couple of things that struck me with how I guess China's doing it, according to this article, is like sometimes they will only open up like, you know, hey, we'll allow older people, but only men. And then sometimes it's like, oh, men and women or only women. So they're very selective in who they are trying to entice to join their forces. But it said in there, it's like, you know, all candidates will be considered as long as you don't have any criminal or political crimes. I'm just
Your
like,
social credit score is
yes. And I'm like,
oh boy, are we going to get canceled? Hold on, let me put the banner up. Yeah,
you're the one that said social credit score. I'm just saying what the Chinese.
I don't even know what that means. Is that good?
That's good. Keep it that way.
Yeah.
Cool.
But yeah,
put it in post.
I just thought it was kind of crazy that even China has a pilot shortage.
When you told me about this article, the first thing I said was, how do you have a pilot shortage when you can just say you go?
Well,
just because you tell somebody to go doesn't mean they can do it, though, right?
Yeah, that's
qualified
true.
candidate shortage. I mean, that was a problem within Air Force Reserve when we were talking about the boards, is they weren't getting quality applicants. They weren't getting people that had high enough scores. And then
you can want in one hand, that doesn't make you a pilot in the other. So, I mean,
yeah.
Plus, I think China has a bit of a blended, mostly communist, a little bit capital type system too. So I think that plays into it. But yeah, I read the way the article read, I was like, oh my gosh, I thought it was kind of funny because, you know,
it is a funny headline for sure. Yeah. It's something that you're just like, you got what now?
Yeah. Next, we'll be reading like North Korea has pilot shortage.
For sure, they don't have the problem.
No, they don't.
They I don't even think they care if you're good. Just get in the jet, you know.
Yes.
Eventually, that turns into a plane shortage.
That's true.
Well, they're flying MiG-15s. I mean, they probably got a few of them. Whatever. All right. Back to the kids at home for a second. Conqueror says, 2-part question. I'm currently writing a book. Any tips? Just the. Also, can you clarify what block series are for the F-16? Wombat. Book tips.
I cannot clarify anything about the F-16.
Actually, Gonky, book tips go.
Oh,
Yes.
okay.
I mean, you're the most prolific writer here, right?
Yeah, you've written 3 books in like 2 weeks.
They're coloring.
How
You
is
got more
this
than me.
possible?
Come on, you got to give you got to give the man his or woman his money's worth.
I'm gonna. If we go around the room, though,
Yeah.
Okay, if you're gonna do anything, just do it. You know,
half-ass
you
it
can-
as quickly as possible.
No, I didn't say that.
Quantity over quality is all we care about.
No,
Here.
don't do that.
Much like that advice, the person who wrote 3 books with very few words in them. So
Just letters, no words, just letters.
I spend a lot of time on those, believe it or not. My
I do
eyeballs
believe it. I do.
But no, the thing
believe
is
that.
like just decide to do it and do it to the best of your capability and learn from it. The first one's not going to be perfect. Just accept it and then learn from that. The next one make it better and the next one better. And next thing you know, you're mover media.
Gonky, did you feel over the course of your series that the storyline got easier to put together?
He started forgetting about what the characters' motivations were.
I just thought like, what
Is
would a
it A
crayon
for
eating?
apple? Yeah.
I just thought, what would a crayon eating Marine really want in a book? And that's kind of
Big letters. And
big
you-
letters.
They got to stay between the lines.
Airplanes,
planes.
identify.
Yeah.
Wombat's
man,
obviously
it's
not
gonna be
taking
a
anything
lot.
seriously tonight. Another.
I don't take anything seriously anymore. I don't need to.
For the
A
kids.
piece of advice, I think I've given it before, but the best piece of advice, which I thought you gave me, Mover, but apparently you hadn't. I agree with Gonky in the sense of just do it. Like, don't overthink it. Just
I gave you that advice.
No. That wasn't the advice. Calm down. I'm
Oh.
getting there. But yes, you
That
did.
was
You
my
did give me
advice.
the just put it down. Don't over edit it. Just get the story on
Don't edit
paper.
it
You
at
can
all.
fix it later.
Yeah.
Yeah. But the piece of advice that I thought I heard from Mover, but apparently I hadn't, is depending on your life situation,
that's
it's not
definitely
always
not.
easy to just sit down for 60 days straight and write a book. Like, people have lives, they have other jobs, they have things like that. So the thing that really helped me is when I finish a chapter, I write the first paragraph of the next chapter before I shut the book. That way I don't have to go back and read the whole book or read a whole chapter or anything. I just read the paragraph. I know immediately where I was going with that and I can continue.
Mm-hmm.
That's
There
my
you
advice.
go. That is not the advice that I gave you. So good.
Mover,
so-
you're up.
So I just finished writing a book.
Congrats.
Yeah, thank
By
you.
the way.
And it was probably the most commoner book I've written because it took me like a normal person to write instead of like 90 days or 60 days or whatever. It took me over a year. And that was because life suddenly got busy and other stuff happened. But I will say, and that makes it twice as difficult. It's just like you're getting your private pilot's license. It's just like doing anything else. If you delay over a long period of time, it becomes exponentially more difficult because the more you put it aside, the more you're going to be like, I don't care. I don't feel like it. Now I've got to go back and research what I even did. I don't remember. And I'll tell you what ended up helping me with that, even having put it aside and going back to it. And I think in general, it goes back to my just right mindset because the whole sculptor thing, right? If you've got the clay, it's easier to whittle it down and actually make something worthwhile. But if you've got nothing, you can't edit anything. And the more you delete and re-add and delete and re-add, the more convoluted it becomes. And then you'll have people with entire manuscripts that they don't do anything with.
Yep.
So what I think is the best idea is just write it, and you can like they say, fix it in post. Because that's what I'm about to do with the sci-fi book, right? Sci-fi to me is much harder to write than a thriller. Because a thriller, we're kind of grounded in reality. We know stuff. You can kind of connect the dots. Sci-fi, you have to remember the BS you came up with in the first place. You have to keep track of all the
Hold on,
crap
that sounds
you
a
just
lot like
made
my
up.
books, actually.
Yeah, you have to keep track of it and the science that you made up that may or may not work or whatever, and the backstories and all that stuff. So it's easier though to write the whole thing and go, okay, well, that's a story. And then go back and, okay, well, hey, I remember at the end of writing this part, it didn't really work at the beginning when I first started. So now I can go back and kind of edit this chapter and go. The other thing that I will say is what I do. People ask me all the time, what software that I use. A lot of people like Scrivener and stuff because you can put notes and stuff. I just use Microsoft Word. I use Microsoft Word and Google Docs. And what I do is every chapter is its own file. and I upload it to Google Docs so that, or whatever, OneDrive, somewhere where that it's not just if you lose your laptop, you lost your life's work, somewhere that's accessible to other people. And what helps me is Doug Damn the Man Narby. Without him and being able to go, hey, a new chapter's up, and being able to talk to him or talk to somebody, I would have a lot less motivation to do it. And also, especially with sci-fi, which I don't know a whole lot about, I wouldn't have the, hey, does this still read like a book? Have I jumped the shark yet? Is this still like the other stuff that I've written before? Because we're in basically a place that I've never been. So I think that helps a lot too, is having that cloud drive, having that beta reader, having somebody that's interested in your work that can help motivate you, but also, and I go back to the editing part, if you do it file by file, chapter by chapter, I label the chapters too. So if I want to go back and change a detail, I don't have to search through the whole document. I just search through, chapter 36, the arrival, and I go back and change in that chapter, and then I compile them all to one document when it's time for editing. And it makes it so much easier to reference stuff if you've got multiple files than it is if you have just one file and you're hitting Control F trying to find it. That's just technique only. Also, the block series R for the F-16, that's just the software and engine and components of, it's just like the, what do they call them, lots in the Hornet, the lot.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So, basically
track of it, right?
Yeah, it's a way to keep track as they upgraded them throughout the life cycle. The early blocks are the A models, and then, block 25 would be a Pratt & Whitney engine, the early block 25s, and then they started with the block 30 big mouth, block 32, which is a Pratt. So if it's got a 0, it's got a GE engine. If it's got a 2, it's a Pratt motor. And then the 30 series, that's when they first could start carry certain weapons. And then the 40, the Lantern and all that stuff that they added. And then they called them MMC jets for a while. And then they became block 50s with the MMC and block 40. So there's a whole history behind the block and series. So, wow, that was way too much for one statement, but thank you.
Get your value around here at the
Sure
Gonky River Show.
Jason
We're all about
Bourne
value.
says, thanks, Jason.
Here's the balance. You don't have to say anything. Perfect.
Yeah. Tom White says, great to see all of three of you. I'll never have a Porsche myself, but I'm happy to donate to the fund. Happy Thanksgiving. Thanks, Tom.
Thanks, Tom.
And Jason's just like, you love the answer. So did Joe. Thanks, Joe.
Joe, thanks.
Airwolf, dude.
Airwolf, that's awesome.
That's awesome. I expected Doug to actually talk through some of that, but I think he might have muted himself.
No, I'm here. I was going to make some kind of a joke about getting somebody reliable to read. Somebody who does it when they say they're going to.
I just nag enough and it works. Solidus says, hello, boys. I'm back. I was wondering if any of y'all have flown with the Italian Panavia Tornado. Are they the ones that say tornado instead of tornado? It kind of reminds me of Tomcats with adjustable wings and all. No.
The only thing I know about the Italians was that dude at Vance.
Yeah.
Remember
Marco.
that guy?
Marco Rispoli.
No, is that?
No.
No.
I think everybody has an Italian advance that they can talk about.
You remember the guy at Vance that had to cut the adjustable straps off his flight suit because it was so tight? That dude was awesome. It was skin tight. It looked like he put a basketball underneath it. It was amazing. And he literally had to cut him off.
Really?
Yeah, it was hilarious.
I'm getting old.
You were busy studying and I want to be a fighter pilot. Where I was like,
guy stuff.
Yeah, loser. How'd that work out?
Speaking of becoming a pilot, Douglas, Air Force pilot training crafts mental toughness.
Oh boy.
Yes, sir.
Can I mute myself for this one?
About to curse a lot. Hold on.
It's a long article and I highlighted a lot, so I'll try to keep it pretty short. Stress can get to anybody, even Air Force fighter pilots. One F-35 instructor pilot, Hazard Lee, sees it happen to even the best students. And the other goes on to recount Hazard's recounting of a student starting to lose.
Yeah, that's the most
formation.
important part. No, that's it. That's what we're talking about. Yeah, we need to talk about that.
As I flew formation off him, I noticed altitude start to drift by several hundred feet, a telltale sign he was beginning to become overwhelmed as he struggled to manage his cross-check. The student eventually switched to the right frequency, but he let it get in his head. Collected above average student was now flying erratically. The student missed radio calls, failed to descend at the proper times, and even tried to cut off another formation of fighters. Once they landed at Luke, he said he was angry with himself for the radio frequency mistake, and the anger combined with the fear of failing the flight pushed him into fight or flight response, which began to shut down his prefrontal cortex and therefore his ability to make logical decisions. Is that the part you wanted to read or more?
More.
Okay. We have a saying in the fighter pilot community that you lose 20 IQ points as soon as you put on your helmet.
You missed the part where mentally unravel after a simple mistake.
Okay.
Yeah,
Leah seemed mentally unravel. Pilots are often young, working under intense pressure to succeed in a dangerous environment. As far back as World War II, the then U.S. Army Air Force found that skilled pilots in peacetime often crashed in combat due to simple mental mistakes. Studies showed that stress severely reduced performance in tasks requiring complex or flexible thinking. It's a really good picture in F-35. In previous generations of pilot training, there was no formal education on how to manage stress and emotions, but a new program, Comprehensive Readiness for Aircraft Flying Training, is helping students fly better, score higher grades, and stay in the training pipeline. You're going to screw something up. It's just going to happen, so how do you recover? Lieutenant Colonel Carolyn Price Moore, Craft Program Director, told Air and Space Forces magazine, do you dwell on the mistake? Do you use your mindfulness, your emotional intensity regulation, and your diaphragmatic breathing to refocus on the present, to move forward so you don't get into a nervous spiral? She's referencing things that are taught as part of the craft program. This is another set of quotes from Lee. It's kind of a default that you either sink or swim, and I was certain when I went to a pilot training. It was certainly when I went to pilot training in 2010.
2010.
That's an effective technique. People who come out the other side are going to be solid, but the problem is the training is very expensive. So if people get halfway through that training and wash out because they have some issues with being resilient, that could waste a lot of taxpayer money. He discussed himself as an example. He said that he's not the most talented pilot, but has a lot of resilience. Confidence is a skill that can be improved primarily through internal dialogue. It goes on to discuss a program that grew out of U.S. Special Operations Command, which was, I think AFSOC was Air Force Special Operations, had a Preservation of Force and Families Task Force, which they developed techniques in, went on to use at Luke for F-35 student pilots, including dietitians, coaches, massage therapists, and cognitive therapy.
A nice night, guys. I gotta go. This is
all right. That's it. Thanks, Doug. We'll take it.
Is that enough to get you started?
We got enough to talk about. So, Gonky,
can we just take a moment of silence for
hold on?
Who just died.
Hold on. I think something's lost in the translation here. So it
can't be the whole story.
Stop. Just let's hear me out. Okay, hear me out. So I found that this article was shared to a group of fighter pilots, some of them perhaps older, and the level of scoffing was very high because of the very first story about this dude lost it doing a frequency change. So I want to put that part aside. We can talk. Sure. I want to talk about that separately, because I think that's a separate topic. The other stuff is awesome. You need resilience. I agree with him. You need to be a resilient person. Mental toughness is important. We talked about it in the Mental Health Minute. I think that the programs that they're doing, Luke is a leader in a lot of things. They were doing physical fitness training. They were doing chiropractors. They were doing stuff before it was cool because you had to, because flying fighter jets in this business is hard on your body and hard on your mind. So having performance psychologists and having mental health counselors and stuff, I of all people have benefited from having a counselor in the squadron and doing that. So I'm 100% behind all of that. And I think resilience is the key, and you have to train for it, just like you train for anything else. So 100% agree with everything he's saying in that, not just him, but the author. And I'm glad they're doing this, because it's very important as a fighter pilot to be able to compartmentalize stuff and be resilient for when you make mistakes. What I think is lost in translation is these anecdotal stories are terrible. They don't do what the article. I'm not saying the book. I've never read the book, and I'm not talking about the book. I'm saying what the article, like the thesis statement of the article, is not really. It's not really proven by the one or two examples, because we've all flown fighters with multiple radios, and I don't know about the F-35. It could be way different, but you should not have problems if the channel doesn't change. You just go on aux and say, hey, you hearing anything? No. Okay. It's not a hook your ride and stuff like that. So there's some weirdness in that story and how dramatic that actually is. But I agree with the don't let things snowball, because I've done an AIB report. The Shaw mishap was very much something like that, where they set this kid up for failure. He went out to a night seed ride. Suppression of enemy air defense is one of the most difficult rides you can do. Tanking for the first time. They didn't do it in the B course. He couldn't get fuel. He bingoed out, and then he didn't let it get out of his mind and ended up hitting the ILS antennas, going around. They didn't have him eject. He tried to land, and then when he ejected on the runway, the seat sep didn't happen, and he passed away during the ejection. So you can see where that snowballs. So it's a valid concept. However, I think it's a terrible example.
They buried the lead, as they often do in the news. The data's all the way at the end. If you want to see it.
Oh, there you go. Yeah, go ahead.
Have a look. I think this is probably the most significant piece. Crafts has already changed lives. Students in T6 and T1 Jayhawk classes who completed 3 or more craft sessions saw a 16 to 63% improvement in aircraft-related cognitive performance over students with fewer than 3 sessions. That's not as exciting to say, but that's the stuff that people should be looking at.
And that's 100% correct. And that's what I'm talking about. The program that this article is talking about is awesome. The stuff from the book that somehow gives you a dramatic example is not. Wombat? Oh, boy.
First of all, I would have loved a masseuse advance.
Yeah.
That would have been fantastic. My question, and I am trying to, you bring up good points, Mover. I was definitely ready to just flame this whole thing when I read it, because it's ridiculous. You bring up valid points, but I'm going to ask a question before we talk about this more. I'm curious your thoughts, because you didn't have this training when you went through flight school. I know damn well Gonky and I did not have this training when we went through flight school. So why is this training needed now, vice back then? And my question is, have they cut down on pilot training so much and squeezed every hour out of it so much that you don't build up the resiliency just naturally in the pipeline? Because I'll tell you what, when I come back from a bad flight and I have an instructor tell me that I boogered things up, or I have one of my favorite Vance instructors tell me and ask me, and this is not made up, ask me, hey, Todd, do you do anything well? And I said, sir? And he goes, because you're never going to get your wings. Like, I mean, he was done at that point. This dude had never flown a gray jet in his life, and he was one rank above me, and he's telling me to my face, I'm never going to get my wings. Now, if that doesn't build some level of resiliency in you to be like, you know what, dude? F off. Watch what I'm about to do. Yeah. What does? I didn't need a masseuse. I needed to study, and I needed some things like that to get angry at and show them that I was going to show them what's up. So there's different ways to build the resiliency. My ultimate question is, do we need this one because we've taken so much of the pilot training and whittled it down to the point where it's so minimal now that they're not getting that? Are we afraid to hurt people's feelings, etc.?
So this is a Vance student who says it's basically strength coaches, dietitians, cognitive specialists who give you sleep study checklist performance. Dude, it's just another. So what they've done is they've taken commercialized, I don't want to call it commercialized, but the old aerospace physiology, that first 6 weeks of pilot training, and made it now a lifestyle. All the stuff, because they told you all this. I mean, at least for me, 2007, right? 2006. They're talking about, well, you need to eat right. Here's the food you avoid. You had an aerospace physiology go through all this stuff with you. Sure. Now it's more of a, a new program because psychology changes. I mean, this right, Doug? I mean, we learn about the human mind and performance factors, and we get better.
We can look at people's brains without taking them out of their heads now.
Yeah,
That's
so
a
that's
huge
nice. You didn't have. I mean, I get it, Wombat. We can, get off my lawn, and back in my day, and we had to walk uphill both ways in the snow, which I did, by the way. I busted my ass at Vance so many times in the ice.
Oh yeah, well, dude, Gonky and I
I
were there
fell.
when the tails of the T-37s were frozen to the runway
Yeah.
for what, like a week? We still went in every day for 12 hours, except for the snow day, which was awesome. Our snow
No,
day was awesome. That was so much. I'm not knocking the program. I don't want to be pinned as the guy that's like, oh, Wombat's the old crusty guy. And this, you
Go
do
ahead,
have to
Gonky.
adapt your training. You have to, right? People change, psychology, people changes, all that. But my question was, the only thing I'm asking is, like, I guarantee you this dude from Vance who says it's legit, I'm not disagreeing with him, and congrats, he's in flight school, but I'd love to see how many flights and sims he's doing compared to how many we all did.
That's
I guarantee you
argument,
it's
though.
less.
I don't think they're
Well,
mutually exclusive.
but
though.
all of that stuff, like, you don't just learn stick and rudder in the plane. You learn this resiliency. You learn all of this other dealing with things. You learn what happens when you don't switch a radio right and how to deal with it. All that comes with hours in the seat that cannot be replaced other ways. That's all I'm getting at. And I'm afraid aviation as a whole, military or civilian, is leaning towards this minimal amount of stick time, if you will, for lack of a better word, to get to the end goal. And it's like, well, at what point are we losing some of these soft skills? That's my only thing. I'm not saying there's anything wrong with the question. I'm curious.
Please, Gonky, continue.
I personally think our kids are growing up coddled. Period. Dot. I mean, no, not knocking on Hazard. I'm glad he wrote the story he did, because of, I mean, dude,
Well, he didn't write the story. He wrote the book.
Imagine,
that they quoted.
Dude, imagine. So I was an instructor in the Hornet. So I read that when you sent it to me, and I immediately thought, I remember one night when I was with a student, and his rendezvous about put the flight lead's Hornet through the front windscreen. And I had to take the airplane, and we just barely missed him. I had to slam the stick forward. Everything went weightless. And I was like, WTF, because he was a good student. And the rest of the flight went fine. And I could have downed him for it, but I didn't, because he was able to mentally put the train back on the tracks and go. I was always taught in training, we can't shoot at you. So we're going to put stress on you. And you have to handle it, because in training, when you're in combat, you might not be able to go to the spa. You might not be able to go get your neck rubbed. You might not be able to get
petty.
You might not be able to get a pedicure with your favorite color. So
who's the crusty guy now? I'm just saying.
These aren't my words. These are the words that were spoken to me. Like, because Wombat, I was told the same thing as you. Like, dude, you need to get a lot better. Like, you need to get better, or else you ain't gonna make it, right? I mean, I think we probably all heard that. I mean, you and I went through in the early 2000s, and the crazy thing is, I remember being a RAG IP in 2010 talking about toughness, because when I was an IP, the students coming in then, I'm like, man, we are coddling these students a lot more than I got coddled. And we would talk about it. And I remember like a couple of my buddies were like, I was like, dude, what about the guys in the 70s, like in Nam and stuff? And we're like, they wouldn't even talk to us. Like, those guys, I mean, you join the military to learn how to kill people. That's kind of that's a true statement. Don't do it for college. Join the military. The mission is killing the people that your government deems need to be killed. It's messy and dirty and very stressful. You need to be able to handle that. Now, I think these kids, like, everybody gets a trophy. Mommy and daddy are mad at the teacher for the bad report card. All that stuff affects them when they become an adult, because they think there's nothing wrong with them. They think they always win. I should always get a trophy. And then when they struggle in a program like flight school, or any military program for that matter, it's like, oh, we need all this coaching and training. Yeah, you needed it like when you were a kid,
True.
not now as an adult. But I don't know how to fix the problem. Maybe this is the way to fix the problem. And I know I kind of sound like the old crusty guy. I was a slightly below average fighter pilot my whole life. I could use all the help I can get, but I just think it's terrible that they are taking that measuring stick. Like, if you're not tough enough, you don't belong here. That's period dot. I'm sorry. Like, that's how I feel about it.
Go ahead.
So-
Sorry, Mover. I have something to bring up on that, but go ahead.
I look at it through the lens of our mental health minute, because in the way I look at this article in this program is mental health is important. And if we can give people the tools so that it doesn't get to the point where they are, overwhelmed in an aircraft, and you give them the skills and the tools on the ground, there's no losing from that. On the flip side, I want to ask you, Gonky or Wombat, either one. Let's go back to the first scenario of this. You have a student that missed a frequency change. It sounds like this is one of the initial. I mean, the way I'm listening or reading this is at Luke. The rides are solo when you're doing your instrument stuff. You get your Form 8, and then you become now we're doing stuff. So if he's the one following his wingman around and he's off altitude and stuff, this is more likely in the instrument phase where you really have to be very precise. So my question to you, either of you, you're chasing your student. He misses a frequency change. It spirals down. He almost hits this other flight like they talk about. You get on the ground. What are you telling him? What is Gonky or Wombat's advice to this kid?
So that's a great question. And I was about to ask Gonky, what was the follow-up? And I bet I know the answer. And then I'll tell you a story that will answer your question, Mover. But what was the follow-up when you landed with the flight you just described, right? Where you had to basically take the jet, but the guy got his head together. Did you bring that up and go, hey, obviously that rendezvous was piss poor, but here's what you did that was good? I'm sure you did.
Well, what I did, it's right. You start off with, questions from the brief, safeties, right?
Done. I'm good.
Back admin. So we talked about it early.
Sure.
And yeah, I mean, I told him, I was like, that's how you kill yourself. That's why if it's not moving across your windscreen, it's coming through your windscreen, right? We went through the whole thing, dude. We had the tapes, everything, right? So, I use it as a learning event, but he was, and I have more of those stories, like where like, oh my, holy, and then they were able to put in. Sometimes, some of the students, it took them a while, but they got the train back. Like, I was always able, I never had to down a student because they couldn't get it back together. And I just think when I read that story, I'm like, how could this guy's flying F-35. So he's been all through pilot training. He's been through, what's it, phase 2? Was it Mover, T-38 IFF, which is super stressful, right?
But dude, we had that in our world in T-30. Remember, we had people that came from IFF and they got to the T-38A and it was just super IFF for them. I mean,
yeah, but you would, that's not, almost killing yourself is something I would say, okay, that would mess me up a little bit mentally here as I'm trying to continue with the mission instead of missing a radio call. I mean, to me, missing a radio call and not being able to handle it is unacceptable coping of something that happened that wasn't supposed to happen.
Yeah, it makes me wonder
how many radio calls did you miss today, Gonky?
Yeah, I did. I was going to say I missed 2 or 3 today.
How convoluted is that thing if it's that challenging?
Right.
The jet. So how bad is the jet if you think you got a total comm failure?
That's pretty bad. And what I like about, honestly, this show the most is like Gonky hit on another point that reminded me of something, and it's gotten me thinking. So, okay, try not to be the grumpy guy. So I agree. So I had a similar, and I think I've talked about it on the channel, so I'll give the short version, but I had a similar time in a T-45 in the back seat where a student shut the motor off because he thought we had a compressor stall. We didn't. Spoiler
and it's
alert.
got one engine, right?
And it's got one engine. So, I think it's fair to say that it may have gotten into his head a little bit. Now, I think everybody who's listened to me and you guys know me, like I tend to use a smidge of sarcasm in my instructing. Like just a dash. So
you called my fat, by the way. I'm still mad about that.
So dude shuts down my only engine, right, on a Friday afternoon. And
Not on a Friday.
I know, it's the worst. And so I say to him, I'm like, hey man, what just happened? Sir, we had a compressor stall. I'm like, okay. Did your ears pop before or after you shut the motor off? And he's like, I was like, because mine were before. And he's like, yeah, I think mine were too. I'm like, that's because we just lost cabin pressure. That was the noise you heard. And that was common in the T-45 when you get high alpha, it would drop. Remember? So I go, listen, you got the rest of our lives to figure out how to get this motor relit. Let's get it relit. It should relight because it was perfectly fine before you shut it off. So I think we're going to get it relit. And it did. And we knocked off the mission and we went back as a single. And I could see this happening, right? So this is what I really do enjoy about this channel. I could see him getting stressed out, flying back. Now here I am in the back. It's Friday afternoon. I almost had to punch out of a plane. And on ICS, I go, hey, man. And now this is not a knock on the Air Force. Remember, we're training Navy and Marine guys. So there's the camaraderie that we talk about, knocking the other services. And I go, hey, do you know the difference between a Navy pilot and an Air Force pilot? And he's like, what's that, sir? And he's nervous. I could hear it in his voice. And I go, a Navy or an Air Force pilot, I'm sorry, a Navy pilot shuts down his only good motor. And we require you to get your head back in the game, go back and catch the 3-wire on the first shot back of the ship. That's what your CAG is going to expect out of you, period. And he goes, well, what's the Air Force? And I go, an Air Force guy forgets his peanut butter and jelly sandwich and lands gear up on a 20,000-foot runway because he's been thinking about his peanut butter and jelly sandwich. I go, so get your head out of your ass and show me that you can fly this plane. And obviously, I'm not knocking the Air Force mover. You could have spun that around the other way. It would have worked. But what did he do? He turned around and he flew a great pass and he landed and we got out of the jet. And I did the same thing you did, Gonky. I did not fail him because that guy learned everything. So my question now about this article is not where was my masseuse advance, although still wondering. My question now is where's the instructor? Right? Why? So the guy that says, these instructors, this program's great. I'm not doubting that it's not great. It worked in the civilian sector for athletes. Of course it's great. But where's the instructor that should be doing this as part of their job, should be building this resiliency and teaching these kids, and I hate to call them kids, like, where's that? So is that part of the problem? Are we cutting down the flight training and the instructors are they phoning it in more?
They're at the airlines.
Dude, it's a different mentality, man.
Do you see my point though? Like that was, that's what we taught wasn't in the jet.
There was such a problem in the T-38 world of having guys that have actually flown gray jets and keeping guys that have flown gray jets. It is a very tough world for that because they don't have those old crusty instructors anymore.
Well, people like, I don't know. It's, they're afraid to lose, afraid to make mistakes, which is just paralyzes you. I remember being a student going down to maintenance control. They're like, we got 2 jets. One of them has a questionable radar. One of them has a good radar. And the IP would always be, give me that jet with the crap radar. Gonky, we're going to go up there and slay everybody. And we would take off and we get murdered. But we would come back and he was like, it was the confidence. Like, and, I'm not saying confidence will overcome everything, but like it was the mental game of whatever comes at you, you are going to go through this wall and you are going to succeed.
Correct.
And, dude, honestly, when I was 8 years old, the first time I watched Top Gun, right? When Viper's having the conversation with Maverick about Goose dying, he's like, basically, dude, you got to get back up in the air.
Was that when he was in his underwear?
Yeah. That's why you
remember.
Standing in his underwear.
That's why Gonky still wears those.
That's why it's his favorite scene.
No, but that's the mentality that you build. And I'm not saying I'm the mentally most tough person out there. You ask any of my IPs, like, Gonky, we had a fireman carry his rear end through a couple of these phases, but dude,
you never quit.
Right. You just do.
Let me throw this out there. I'll say one more thing about this, because we need to move on at some point.
True.
Based on what you guys have just said, right? You're basically saying they're coddled and all this stuff. What if this is the Air Force's attempt to fix that, to give them the tools that they didn't get riding dirt bikes with Gonky?
Well, I mean, that's what I said. I'm like, I don't know how to fix the problem. I mean,
Well, maybe that's what I'm saying. I mean, we've had somebody who's in the program now saying this is a lot of it's more than just mental, it's nutrition, it's lifestyle stuff. Because remember, dude, it's hard on your body. I mean, if you had somebody working out with you and teaching you how to do stuff, I think it makes you a better athlete. And if your mind is tougher, you're able to handle that stuff. And you might not have necessarily gotten that younger. Like, I just don't see where this is a failure unless it's like what Wombat says, where you're in lieu of flight time, which I haven't seen any evidence that says this is replacing anything other than it's additive.
Well, how much money are they spending on this? I mean, how many
Dude,
millions
we're
of
printing
dollars?
money. We're printing money, dude. Let's
But
not
in
even
the-
the
but in
amount
the
of money
same
we're
sentence-
printing.
But in
and
the same
sending-
sentence, they'll tell you we don't have enough money for flight hours. Well, yeah, if you get rid of the massage parlor. And
Hold on. Let's not start with the massage. There's other things first. Like,
I
let's
like
be
the
honest.
massage.
No military guy needs nutrition training, right? You're just going to go pound beers at the club. That's the first thing to get cut.
No, you don't
right?
go
I
to the
mean,
club anymore.
calories
Maybe
in,
that's the
calories
problem.
out.
You need a club again. That's
Yeah,
where all
you
the debriefing and the learning from the old guys. Doug, as our resident psychology professor, do you have anything to add to this?
I thought I would highlight this part right here. Significantly less neck and back.
I do have neck and back pain.
that means something to all of us.
That's true.
Hold on though. That if you look at that, another student reported that a craft dietitian helped him
He's not old
get
enough
under
to
the
have neck
ejection
and back
seat
pain.
limit. Okay. And conditioning coach feels stronger in the cockpit.
You know,
You don't get the neck and back pain.
Wait.
Talk to me in 10 years, bro. That's
Wait.
when it comes. It's not from doing the centrifuge. for
Wombat.
Christ's sake.
Wombat in pilot training. Who helped you get under the ejection seat weight limit?
My ass running in Kingsville
1000%
twice a day.
Yeah, if you
Call
haven't
me.
listened to Wombat's story, they literally pulled him out of training because he was too heavy for the seat, and we're going to kick him out. And they were convening a board to decide what they're going to do. And Wombat, on his own, because I lived with him, went on a crazy crash diet, lost like 50 pounds in 2 weeks,
Luna.
and made it happen. But that's because he was tough enough. Like, he didn't hide in a corner and cry, you know. I mean, I saw it with my own eyes, but that's,
And
I mean,
I'm not knocking the students. That's the thing I want to make clear here. Like, I mean, I do agree with Gonky that society has changed and there's a lot of coddling and all that. I'm not knocking them. Okay. It's not their fault. Like, if your parents coddle you and your teachers coddle you and your instructors, advanced or primary or whatever, coddle you, you're not the one who's faulted there. My fault is with the people that are coddling, not the person being coddled. Right? It's not their choice. If I screw my boy or my girl up completely mentally, it's not their fault. It's my fault.
I do have something insightful to respond with to that piece. I work at an open admissions college, and I have to make college graduates out of whoever shows up. So,
wow,
teaching people coping skills, teaching people resilience, teaching people the tools they need to get through a difficult experience is exactly as you're suggesting it. I'd say it's a response to what they brought with them. And if it does lower the dropout rate, and that's our goal, I think we need to objectively take a look at the line between hazing and teaching. And that's something that I think would be a whole separate interesting discussion. Most of what you guys have just talked about, I've done as an instructor with not at the college, but teaching people to drive race cars for the same reasons, right? It's high stakes, but you also have to be able to adjust to their capabilities that they bring in and their level of, their ability to take in that information in the spirit that it's meant, if not in the tone that it's meant. Does that make sense?
Well, it does. And I'm not disagreeing with you, Doug. I agree 100%. And I think that's where I may come across as like being the anti in this. Like, what I'm saying is, you as the instructor is doing that. You're looking at the individual and you're figuring out, what does this person need because of what they've brought to the table to be successful in this program, whatever it takes. And my question is, where's the flight instructor doing that? I don't need a masseuse to do that, right? I don't need a dietitian.
What's it with the masseuse?
Because I'm pissed off I didn't have one, dude. All that
He
running
actually
was
does
me.
need a masseuse.
On the masseuse
It made
right
me
now.
sore,
Jeez,
and I
man.
need a masseuse. I'm bitter.
Does have
You
to
see
be
my
a
point? Like, I
masseuse.
don't know if that side of it is the answer. My concern is if your job is to be a pilot, and in this case an F-35 pilot, then I think the answer to make you better handling the stresses of that job is probably dealing with stress in that job and overcoming it, not learning that if you eat 7,000 calories a day and sit on the couch, you're going to gain weight. Like that's not, that's where I have an issue with this. I don't have an issue with you training resiliency because every one of us were trained resiliency. It just wasn't called anything. It was part of flight training. So my issue comes with, is this the fix? And are we putting is this just a label we're putting on it? So now everybody feels good about it. And it's like, well, but is that actually doing anything or not? That's my concern. And it, like they said, it's not cheap. So how many flight hours are we cutting to pay for massages?
Okay.
Mover, you
That's
and your
all.
you and your articles are going to get us canceled.
Thanks. All right. Hey, moving on. Douglas actually brought up a good point. They were filming a documentary TV show called Any Fool Can Fly when the jet he was in collided. Oh, it's Australian fights on. They stole our idea.
That's some karma to
sad.
name your show that.
Yeah,
Any
they
Fool
crash an
Can Fly.
airplane.
All right. No. Yeah. We're 2X. Yeah. So they were ex-military fighter jets. So they weren't any
They
fool
did
can
steal
fly.
your thing. Is there a lawsuit set up?
Yeah.
Are you guys seeking action?
They changed the name to
Copyright?
Jet School, 5-part series. Yeah, they actually, no kidding. Could they fly a fighter jet? They literally stole our idea. Well, much for that.
Well, they op tested it, and it seems like it wasn't a very good idea.
Well,
Maybe you guys should rework your idea.
we've
Right.
done it in America. They were using the metric system. Oh, that's what I was going to say earlier. I have discovered all the things that we can use to trigger the audience, and I'd like to present my list of things that we will now be talking about every show to get viewership up. Number one, the metric system. It's communist. Okay. It's commie. You're a socialist. I don't know. Metric system's terrible. Go back to your commie ways. Number two, the Su-57 is not a real jet. There's only like one of them. So
That one's real, right?
Tom Cruise could easily out-dogfight your Su-57. All you Russian bots, please comment below. Number three, Formula is not real racing. It never has been. It's just glorified time trials where this Verstappen guy always wins. So take that. It's just as bad as the metric system. What number are we on?
Didn't a
now?
manhole cover win
Yeah,
the last
that's
one?
all. Like if it were trucks, you think the Craftsman Truck Series would care about a manhole cover? No, they would just keep racing and running into each other. It'd be perfect. Number whatever next is. Chemtrails are not real.
Oh, there it goes. Next,
Yeah.
you're going to tell me the Earth isn't flat. Come
the
on,
Earth is not flat. We landed on the moon, and Wombat owns a Porsche. That's all the things I'm
Wait.
going to talk about now.
So the 7.3 didn't have a chemtrail switch? Because your Airbus has one, right?
Dude, you're going to get Twittered. Have we not learned, Wombat? Have you not learned?
I will never learn, period.
I'm going to say
Ever.
the
I
A word.
refuse to.
I'm going to say the A word. Don't make me say
Talk
the A
about
word.
him.
That
I
was
don't
number
care.
7 or 6 or whatever number we're on. However, comma.
I do like that we're calling
have
it the A word, which may be misinterpreted quite badly.
I have promised not to say that word in
It's
your
fine.
presence.
It's fine.
Anyway,
That was fun.
Back to-
I
Now that
do
no
think
one's
that
watching.
program is good, by the
now
way. I just
let's
don't
see.
think
Look at the
it's
comments exploding. All the people. Oh, they're so mad.
It's funny.
Get that engagement going. Brian says they
Kennedy
were
was
filming.
shot. Sorry,
What? Kennedy?
Kennedy was shot by a single rifleman.
Oh, yeah.
That's too back in the day.
I was going to say,
these
Doug,
new
the
kids.
people that are watching this have no idea who Kennedy
Yeah,
was.
they're like, Kennedy. Did he talk about call a crackhead? Brian says they were filming for a TV program with an unfortunate working title. Also get a
Wow.
Porsche. So there's the answer on that.
Thanks, Brian.
Yeah, thanks for stealing our stuff. D Stu says thoughts on Army asking soldiers discharge due to not taking. Oh, here's another one that's get us some good engagement. Vaccine. Oh, that'll just get us canceled. YouTube's about to just pull the plug right now.
Do you want me to answer since you guys can't? Because I think I can.
Can you? They'll pull your retirement. Go ahead.
Dude, you reap what you sow. Like they made their bed.
Yeah.
They made their bed. Am I wrong? They made their bed. This is what you get. Play stupid games, get stupid results.
Well, thank you for that question. Oh, there's a sad one. Missy Road says, not to be a downer, but today is the 55th anniversary of my dad's fatal crash on TWA Flight 128, just short of the airport at CVG. My understanding is crash led to the creation of the JipWiz.
Correct.
Here's a drop in the bucket.
Wow.
Man,
Sorry, Missy.
sorry to hear that. That's terrible.
Yeah. Holy cow.
That's an incredible
If it's any
story.
consolation,
I read up on it.
Yeah, if it's any consolation, not that it's a consolation, but at least you can hang your hat on the fact that your dad's sacrifice has probably saved more. I mean, countless lives, right? So it's a huge part of training. And
Doug, did they develop GPWS from that?
I don't remember that detail off the top of my head, but there was a considerable amount of investigation and results from that, so that seems very likely.
Yeah, they CF'd it, right?
Yeah.
Jeez. All right, Troy. Thanks, Troy. Actually has a thing. Is there a dream aircraft each of you wish you could have flown? A-10.
Yeah.
There's a couple.
Tomcats.
Yeah.
Tomcats with Gonky as my Rio.
F4, F-14.
You guys are all.
Tomcats.
F8.
The Hawkeye
A4.
is the only dream aircraft for
Okay.
Hawkeye. Because it really doesn't actually fly. So it's a dream if you get it airborne. It's crazy.
I want to spin the dome.
Okay.
That's it.
Pretty heavy.
Thanks. Who knows? Appreciate that. Janitor's back.
Hey, Janitor.
For Mover Ruin series TV show from 2014 called Scorpion Sex LAX. S1E1, I guess. LAX has all comms shut down. Apparently, pilots will not divert, and the only fix is for the pilot to pass a network cable while in flight.
That
sounds awful just from the beginning.
Yeah, that's
great.
Isn't that like
that's
that?
like
I heard too.
24 was like that, where the terrorists' big thing was to confuse ATC and run planes together.
Really?
That was like the entire plot of one of the seasons. One of the episodes.
Wait a second. You have to confuse ATC?
Easy.
Oh boy,
it's a joke.
Oh,
it's really a joke.
Janitor back 2A Ferrari, so they can plug it into there's more laptop for an unload fix. All this before they run out of fuel because apparently a pilot is not able to land the plane without any comms. Light gun signals. Nobody remembers them.
Green. That's all I remember.
Green's good.
Green's good.
Alternating's divert, right?
Yeah.
Dude, if it
Which
came
I love
to
that one because if you can't talk to anybody, it's like, well, where do I go?
If you're that apocalyptic, Gonky's taking the Airbus up initial.
Yeah.
Oh, dude, all day.
He's just going to pitch out.
All day.
Carrier break.
Straight up. Carrier break.
All
Kate
TV.
says, yay, 3 of my favorite people. Happy T-Day.
Thanks, Kate.
Thanks, Kate.
Which 3?
Well played.
Clearly mover. Well done, Doug.
Yeah. Technophasal says, issue is DoD views people as cogs and not human beings.
Yeah.
You're not wrong.
Douglas Rose, not to be confused with our Douglas. P8 overshoots runway, crashes into the Kanoa?
Really?
Kanoa? How do you say that?
This just happened. Yeah, this just happened.
Everybody made it to shore safely. Plane is still floating. I didn't know about that.
Really? They lost a P8 today?
Yeah.
Wow.
I mean, they know exactly where it is. They didn't lose it.
Not like the F-35, right?
Yeah.
Dude, where's my plane? We're glad everybody's out. That's
yeah, no kidding.
That's
I only joke because everybody's out.
Right. Garrett, our homie,
Thanks, Garrett.
comes down to mental toughness. My generation has been coddled. Like he's in a Marine uniform now. My dad was USMC infantry officer, so I learned that life is tough and work hard.
God bless you, dude.
This dude is going to run. He will be the commandant. Did you know the commandant had
heart attack,
Yeah,
right?
see,
heart
it's right
attack?
there.
Yeah. From
Safe and
stress.
Safe and effective. I'm sorry. Keep going.
No, he had it from stress. He said he's too stressed. Oh, geez.
Nope.
No,
I
I'm just trying not to get us. Dude,
I thought the same thing, dude.
I'm just trying to get to it. I'm trying to get. Like I'm trying to
That's
keep the
where
show
my brain's
going,
at. As soon as I hear that, I'm like, well,
I'm
he
trying to
didn't
get
get discharged out of the Marine Corps.
Ooh, yeah.
So
Anyway, Drone
we all
says, "Hi
know-
guys. At what point is China's
Thanks,
Navy and Air Force just going to be too much for anyone to handle? We seem to have larger shortages of pilots. China is starting pilots at age 15 to 17.
No, they have shortages now too.
Yeah,
So it's all going to
shortages
even
too.
out. Nobody has anybody.
Yeah, we're all
China
going
has
to be.
they've always outnumbered us. That's not the point though.
All right. So Kate says that would be Happy Thanksgiving Day. Y'all. Oh, we know.
Happy
And
Thanksgiving.
Thank you. Geographically inverted gives us the A word, 799. Earth is 70% uncarbonated water by beverages standards. It's flat. That sounds like a lot of autocorrect in that one. Like what do you?
I like it though.
I like it, but there was a lot of autocorrect going. All right. So hey, Gonky, you ready to cry?
Oh, dude.
Is this the P8 story?
No,
Nope.
dude.
It's time.
Oh, this is awesome.
It's time to have your face melted. Let us begin. This is our reaction. If you don't want to see the reaction, go watch the video by yourself and then come back because we will react and we will talk over it. And here we go. And the squiggly lines mean IUD Air Base Cutter. In case you're wondering.
It's awesome.
Can you hear that?
Heard it's nice there this time of year.
Dude, look at that thing.
I know.
Tomcats.
Mm.
I mean, it's close. Look at that helmet, Gonky.
Completely new platform.
Too many seats.
OU, Boomer Sooner.
He's got a special helmet like I do.
Dude, I'm at the age where you'd probably want to take a buddy flying now. You know, you're a
Yeah.
friend. Oh, obligatory crotch shot.
I
Oh,
was gonna say, what are we advertising here?
This is definitely an Eagle video.
Nice. I do like he has his college on his helmet.
Yeah, that he went to collage.
gosh, the hook is so small.
Look at this thing, dude.
compensating.
Look at that. It's
I think it's
taxiing
awesome.
at a no faster than a man can trot. Oh, GoPro's in the cockpit.
That's fine nowadays.
Good thing it's
Been a new
Boeing.
precedence.
Depends on who you ask.
Yeah, Boeing doesn't care. That thing is stupid slick.
Look at
Holy
this
hell.
thing.
Oh my
Look at this thing. The music. Yeah. Oh, dude, I'm sad.
America.
There is literally
Dude, his
no drag
T-shirt
on that
emblem is
airplane.
so big it doesn't fit under. Like you can't see the whole thing. Oh my god, look at that thing.
Oh my gosh, dude.
Oh, dude. Look at
Oh, dude.
oh man.
And you're out of gas.
Do you see the inlets doing the thing?
Yeah, man.
Oh, this makes me sad. Mark.
Wow. I've never seen an eagle move like that, dude.
See the guy in the back seat? He didn't go through that craft class because his
What
neck's
is-
gonna hurt.
What is the point of the backseat guy right now? What is
Tom.
he doing?
Comms, dude, and hold the
They've
camera.
got to bring Snickers.
Gotta hold the camera.
Snacks. Dude, look at
Wow.
that thing. Oh, Gonky, what do you think, man?
I've always thought the Eagle was a great looking airplane. I've seen a couple in BFM engagements,
Oh, there's more.
and
Wait. There was more. Hold on. We weren't finished.
when you
ruined
asked
this.
me what I thought,
I know, but I've hit the button and there's more. Hold on. We're back. It was the after credits. Now, oh, wait. You didn't watch that, did you?
I've watched the whole video.
Hold on. The after credits. Look at it stop, dude. Flat plate.
That's what I'm saying. Like
Now you can tell us your feelings.
I
Sorry.
I mean, when I first saw that video, I just in my mind, I'm like, the flight control system of that airplane is pretty crazy because that airplane moves unlike any Eagle I've ever seen.
Like a much smaller plane.
It kind of maneuvers like a Hornet, which is crazy because it has way more thrusties. I watched the whole demo that they did in Dubai, and he does the high alpha pass, plugs in the blowers, and does a loop. Straight. I mean, it's just, and you can see like all the flight controls and like you say, over the inlets, all just crazy working, man. It's insane. That jet it's awesome. I want one.
All right. On that note, we'll keep this under the Boeing the demo, because Boeing has just like here we're going to demo everything we have, as they should,
They're
because they're
all in
selling it.
at this
They're
point.
for the money. Dude, check out the T-7. They did a whole thing on that too. You ready?
Was this in Dubai also?
Itself is a
Yeah.
marketing simulator only to replicate the cockpit, but it isn't actually the ground-based
Side stick,
system
dude.
that we're going to have.
What?
delivered for the United States
Just like
Air
Fat
Force
Amy
customers
in the Viper,
worldwide.
as it should be.
That simulator has
Look at the
safety
cockpit on this thing.
and in the actual ground-based
Imagine being a
system, you
student
can
flying
get
this.
the actual
You're going to
simulator
need some
with
craft
the actual
training, that's
jet.
for sure.
We'll do training together with the simulator and jet, which is new.
Dude,
Sorry, it's too
so much
easy.
room to pee for snacks. There's
Yeah.
like,
You don't need a nutritionist in that cockpit.
dude, I remember. So this is how dated the T6. They
Wow.
made you turn down the GPS so you wouldn't know where you were because they wanted you to do the arc radials and stuff. How do you do that in this thing?
You don't.
You
don't.
just the map
don't,
is the
dude.
map.
You don't,
Yeah.
dude. You
Preparing
don't.
for the United States
How do you do a fix to
Now
fix?
all the systems
There's
are
no
don't.
time turned
Totally to the
NDBs in aviation
Student
anymore.
learning,
So
and that's what makes the T-7A
Look at that thing, man.
advanced pilot training.
Oh,
system
look, it's got the
amazing
canopy
and
fracture
really,
system.
really,
Why do they love
game-changing
ejecting through the canopy so
technology.
much?
In future
Because this
combat,
thing is
the jet
part,
has to be
Saab,
designed.
is that right?
Now it's auto
Yeah.
trimming. I have my hands off the jet because it's
It's
flying
auto
itself
trimming?
basically. I
Yeah.
got
Oh,
my
that's
airspeed,
good.
My altitude matched up.
our primary
I'm
jet
looking at
trainer
the
auto
information that
trims.
the jet is
Yeah,
portraying
why
to
not?
me, and that's
Yeah.
what
So now you can't say trim, 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 trim.
we want
Yeah, let's
our
not.
future students to be able to understand is this information, disseminating the information.
Yeah,
and
it's
then making
you're just
decisions
managing
based on
aircrafts,
the
man.
information.
The days of steely-eyed fighter pilots are over.
Did you just say aircrafts?
I don't
No.
know.
That's what I heard. I'm just saying. Wombat?
I think the T-7 is a cool airplane. I really do.
Yeah, that was awesome.
I think it's
I think it
awesome.
looks
And
goofy.
I guess they're exploring the like light attack capabilities of it too, which I mean it has it has one Hornet engine. I mean, I'm sure it's a blast to fly. I love it. I think it looks a little funky, but I love to fly it.
It does look a little funky, but
Yeah.
Doug, I guess I got this one too since I'm already there. We got one more demo. This one's really going to make you cry, Gonky, because you're going to be like, Lord, I see what they give these people. I want that for me.
No, dude, I don't get emotional over big airplanes.
All right, you ready? Let us begin. Why?
Whew.
upset recover.
Dude,
No?
all the drink-
Just why?
all the drinks.
Oh,
are like,
look out, dude. Pretty sure I've seen Bud Holland do this and it didn't work out well.
it's pretty crazy though. Something that big can move like that.
Do they put flight attendants in the back for this? If you've got a Wizzo that does nothing back there, why not put a whole crew of
Whoa,
Flight attendants back
whoa,
there.
whoa.
Maybe there's a whole crew of Wizzos back
somebody's
there.
got to push the snacks to the demo pilots?
Someone's got to close the blinds.
Yeah.
Open the air vents, car closing,
Yeah.
whatever they do.
Oh,
So,
dude.
what do we?
That's
what do we
pretty
think about
amazing,
that?
It is cool to see a big plane do that. I mean, but
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
does it have a snack tray? Not interested.
Now it's got a yoke. It's got
Not
a yoke.
interested.
Does the new 777 have a yoke?
Probably.
Probably. I don't know, man.
I'm sure somebody will
Yeah, oh, yeah.
comment.
No,
in
dude,
about 12
it
seconds.
100% has a yoke. No, it has.
Yeah,
it
they're,
definitely has
Boeing's
a yoke.
not going to a side stick in their airliners.
they're not.
There's no way.
All right, so I've got one more video for your viewing pleasure, because not to be outdone, the fellows, ladies, and gents at Skunk Works at Lockmart put out a video today. This is today, breaking news.
It's breaking. You're not going to see this on other YouTube channels.
Deep intel just out.
Oh, jeez.
This is
Metric
it.
system, Su-57, Formula One, whatever it takes. This is all the things. Here we go. You ready? I'll stop it when we get to the part that all the nerds are going to care about, like me. Not that. Or that. I mean, that's cool.
Sure.
Does the circus represent the Air Force? Oh, no, I shouldn't say that.
I think we know the answer to that. Is that a
There's
Navy
your-
plane? No.
Leadership. Go ahead. We'll talk about that plane later. Hey, Douglas, it looks like a big version of that, so to speak.
I understand.
Spoiler alert.
I get that reference.
Does it have lasers?
Oh, look at that.
I think that's information from its nose. I don't think it's a laser because it's laser in your. You wouldn't laser your own U2.
Yeah. Well, you never know. Depends if you got your craft training.
Well, it lasered and then spewed out to all the other places. I doubt.
It's information.
And it's laser
Maybe
in
to
this
get your
guy.
massage that day.
Oh, dude, laser therapy is good for you.
Great segue.
Okay, there's some fast stuff. Don't care. Right there.
I feel like I've seen that before.
People say this is the new NGAD and it has no tails. I always said single seat, single tail, single engine. I don't know what you say about this. No engine, no tail. It's gravity
It's got
driven.
little bumps. It's got little bumps.
It's got 2 little tails, dude.
Yeah.
Those are definitely
they're a
tails.
little
This
tip.
looks like something dropped out of a bigger mothership.
Yeah.
Oh,
Why is the one
boy.
on the one
Like
side
alien
bigger?
mothership?
Oh,
Probably. Why is the
no,
one
don't
side bigger than the other side?
That's what she's.
Is really this is
I
what they
forget
put
this
out?
is.
But
Huh?
this is really what they this
This is Lockheed Martin. 80 years of skunk work innovation. I'm just pausing it.
okay.
This
Is
was
there
their
another?
This was their challenge to the F-15 demo video.
Yeah, because I like that.
And they just keep, here's the best part.
They
Is
got a real plane.
a minute. It's a 30-second video that they just replay 3 times.
That's beautiful, dude. That's social media right there. Just loop it.
They didn't want it to be a reel. Anyway, gentlemen, thoughts?
I don't even know what we just looked at.
Yeah, I like the F-15 flying.
It
around.
says, all right, I'm going to read the thing. From our humble beginnings with Kelly Johnson in a circus tent. Skunk Works always has our eyes on the future. The historic programs featured in this video, such as the P-80 Shooting Star, U-2 Dragon Lady, F-117 Nighthawk, paved the path to where we are today. I'm still Batman.
Okay.
Yeah.
I mean, those are all cool airplanes. I get it. I just think a company like Lockheed could have put out a little cooler.
Better video.
Yeah, man. I mean, they built a lot of cool stuff. I don't know. That's all I
Okay.
have to say about that.
All right, and our next. Oh wait, let's look at the what the kids at home are saying. Janitor is back.
Janitor.
Get rid of that. Oh, good. Vaccine question. Oh boy.
Oh boy.
I got the flu vaccine in October, but got the flu last week. Question: is the government tracker still functioning?
We're not doctors, so we're not qualified to answer such questions. I don't know.
I don't know how the Gov tracker works, to be honest with you.
I don't either.
I feel like they're going to be bored watching me though, because I would have a show. They could just watch the show and increase our views.
Pretty much.
Yeah, I don't know.
I don't know, man. Sorry.
Hey, I love the show, everyone. Flevy says, any advice for UCT and a future A&G nav? Money is for the Mover P51 fund. So that's undergraduate CISO training.
Yep.
What's a CISO?
It's what they call WIZOs and
NAVs.
RIOs. Yeah.
Okay.
No advice. Same as always. Don't be a douche. Help your bro. Cooperate to graduate.
Study.
Know your bolt
Make it a
case.
priority. Yep.
Yeah.
Book your massages early. 'Cause they fill up.
Oh my gosh. Thank you.
I'm
for that.
assuming they fill up, dude. Like, I mean,
You get book in advance. Maybe you get
trying to
coupons.
help a guy out who's donating to your channel. Don't laugh at me. I'm trying to help here.
Yeah.
Douglas,
Are we ready for the Grey Wolf?
we're ready for the Grey Wolf.
Boeing Grey Wolf helicopter production ramps up as test phase ends. Did I forget to push that button? Thank you.
I pushed the button. I'm here for you.
First 2 field-ready MH-139A Grey Wolf helicopters, pictured above, are now in final assembly, and Boeing said it expects the long-awaited delivery of the first of these helicopters to the Air Force in mid-2024. The 6th and final test Grey Wolf helicopter was delivered in October. Company stated Monday. Grey Wolf is slated to replace the Air Force's fleet of 63 Vietnam War-era UH-1 Huey helicopters for security personnel to patrol the service's nuclear missile fields and to transport senior officials in the Washington area. The Air Force plans to buy as many as 80 MH-139s, which are a militarized version of Italian aerospace firm Leonardo's AW-39 commercial helicopter design. Delivering all the RDT&E, we know what that is from previous guests.
We sure
aircraft to the Air Force enables them to continue critical operational testing and allows Boeing to focus on building the first production aircraft. Grey Wolf will provide crucial national security capability improvements to the Air Force.
Scroll down. I just want a picture of it while we talk about it. Or scroll back up, I
I'm gonna
guess.
scroll up. Yeah, that's a great picture.
So, dude, this helicopter is badass. And it replaces the UH-1N, or whatever the Air Force version of the UH-1 is, for nuke security, VIP, everything that our guest last week did, Dave.
Yep.
That's what this thing does. It's armed, like it just looks like Airwolf. And the reason it makes me sad is Gonky, you and I were going to go fly this thing actually.
That's true.
And we for very different reasons. I reference the previous circus tent actually as probably one of the bigger reasons. But it's going to be at all the nuke bases and also in Montgomery. The C-130 unit at Maxwell is converting to these as the schoolhouse. So the schoolhouse will be in Montgomery, Alabama. So we were going to go there, and it's not going to happen.
Oh,
but we do have jobs, but we're not flying. But it's cool to me. I mean, number one, it would have been the fastest, or it is going to be the fastest military helicopter, Air Force helicopter out there, which is awesome. But second, dude, I love the program because they get this awesome Leonardo helicopters because they make great helicopters. And the defense contractor gets it, and the first thing they do is pull out the air conditioning system. And then they go fly it in test and realize they can't fly it without the air conditioning system because with the doors on, it's too hot. So they have to put the air conditioning system that they intentionally took out back in this helicopter to make it actually survivable and flyable. But look at that thing, man. Just a good looking helicopter, and it's awesome that we're getting them. I remember, when they did the ceremony and got the Grey Wolf, the first ones at test, they landed it. Just really cool. Would have been fun to fly, but obviously not meant to be. There you can see the comparison. 140 knots cruising, but really, really cool helicopter.
Flying a desk.
Huh?
I'm flying a desk instead.
You're not my supervisor. Yeah, he is. Damn it, Gonky. All right, moving on to the next one. Douglas, do you have the article, sir?
I am so far behind because I was doing all the fancy stuff with the pictures.
I'll let you catch up. We got some super chats while you do that.
I'm ready to go. Let me know when.
All right. Well, we already did that one. Hi to my 3 favorite authors, Harold says. If y'all ever want an extra beta reader, let them know. That's awesome. Gonky, do you accept beta readers?
Yeah, my son's one.
Yeah, I've actually employed Wombat's boy. He's my quality control expert.
That's hilarious. One random fella says, what are those protrusions by the Wizzo? Is the Wizzo there to shoot lasers? New fighters need a backseat to control drones. F-35 one seat to do it all. That's not a bad idea. You could have a million loyal wingmen and your Wizzos in the back with the FPV goggles.
Yeah.
And he or she or they or them maneuver your drones for you. All right, Douglas, hit it.
Okay, we're ready now.
This one's for you guys. I'm not really an expert on this.
Oh boy.
Naval Aviator explains why USAF pilots land softer than US Navy pilots. Takes skills and nerves of ice for a US Navy pilot to land on an aircraft carrier's flight deck, essentially a miniature flying field. Oh, that's not what it says, but that's what I said. That is pitching, rolling, yawing, and rough seas. Do they yaw, carriers?
Oh, yeah.
I wouldn't think so. Really?
Oh, yeah. They Dutch roll.
These ships operate in. A carrier landing is similar to a controlled crash. The touchdown is enough to destroy most other airplanes. Where do we
sometimes destroy our airplanes?
Yes, you can destroy a Navy airplane too. I know this.
Given the uniqueness of carrier landings, do U.S. Air Force pilots land softer than U.S. Navy pilots? Yes. David Tussey, former U.S. Navy A-7 Corsair pilot, explains on Quora.
You know it's real if it's on Quora.
I mean, the Aviation Geek Club is quoting Quora. How more real can it get? Carrier aircraft are specifically designed to withstand the impact of a carrier-arrested landing and also the catapult shot, but you pay a price for that. A Navy aircraft must be stronger and have a design that dissipates the energy of an arrested landing and a catapult. That means extra weight, which impacts performance. Just to be clear, while a typical Navy pilot will land on conventional runways far more than on a carrier throughout their career, they still perform a carrier-type landing even on a runway. U.S. Air Force aircraft perform landings with much lower sink rate, resulting in a smoother, less stressful to the airframe landing. The U.S. Air Force fighter aircraft are not required to withstand the stress of carrier operations, so they are not carrying that extra weight. Let's see. There have been a few Navy aircraft that have worked well for the U.S. Air Force, specifically the F-4 Phantom II and the A-7 Corsair II, and there have been several U.S. Air Force aircraft that have been proposed for Navy use, such as the navalized F-15 and F-16. Still, it's damn hard on the aircraft. And do we want to watch the video?
No, this is actually video from the fighter pilot IMAX movie. It's been recirculating. Yeah, well, we ruined it. It's been recirculating. I mean, you can click on it if you want. It's Rainwaters and the Afterburn podcast. Turn the music off, please. We'll for sure get demonetized for that.
So pretty. Not a care in the world for center line. Or center line.
Dude.
Well, dude, it's a 5-way. Like, yeah. Reset the code. Did I 904? Oh, God.
All right, guys. Why?
Why?
Well,
do you even
Are
know?
we better?
Yeah, dude.
Or-
Here's the reason why Navy jets, Air Force jets land softer than Navy jets is you have to land on a ship a certain way, right? So Wombat can nerd out on this more than I can, but you have to set the angle of attack to set the hook distance because there's hook to ramp. There's all kinds of geometry that happens, and you don't want to change that. So you have to fly the same attitude throughout the entire approach to precisely hit the wires. Whereas in the Air Force, you don't care about wires. So you can come in and flare it like an airliner and land wherever the heck you want, as long as you're in the first 3,000 feet of the runway. So that's why Air Force pilots land softer. It's because Navy pilots have to land aggressively, and it's just more awesome. But that's
Why does it carry over to your airline career, Gonky?
it doesn't.
It's called a law of primacy. That's what it is.
I do like to feel a good.
Good.
Yeah,
It's
I'm
called
here.
dissipating energy. You're saving the brakes. You're
Yeah.
waking everybody up in the back so they get off the plane quicker. It
You know
helps the
what's-
operation move. There's a lot of pros.
What about
You know
the
what's funny
disability
is-
claims of the flight attendants?
In the in the
not my
skybox, man,
problem.
like they tell you to keep everything on, right? So the handful of times I've turned off all the automation and did manual flying with the thrust levers, I like to feel the airplane accelerate. And so like when I'm like in the captain looks like, what the hell are you doing? I'm like, what? He's like, dude, it's like people don't like that in the back. Gotta be smooth. I'm like, everything back on.
Yeah, it is truly like Gonky was alluding to. If you hypothetically brought 10 different Navy aircraft aboard a ship in a recovery, and every pilot flew a perfect pass, every tail hook would land in a 1 square foot block on the flight deck. That's how precise it is. Now, I'm not saying that everybody flies a perfect pass and all that, but that is no kidding the precision of it. If everybody was perfect with it, then, and that was actually a concern with Magic Carpet, believe it or not, when all that stuff came out on how good Magic Carpet is and is going to be and precise. They were concerned about the flight deck because getting that stress over and over and over and over again, like, so.
Oh, on the same
Same
1
spot.
square foot.
Same spot.
Yeah.
Yep. Then somebody made a joke. Well, like, there's still CODs and Hawkeyes, and I was like, yeah, there are. They'll be all over the place, but damn it,
Oh,
they'll
no,
be
the
on
COD's
center.
being replaced with the
I know, with the whirlybird.
thing. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
So,
Well.
so that's the answer, and that's you can't flare. Like you have to just put it there.
Well, I flared the Hornet.
No, yeah, but
At the
you
field.
never land on a ship though, dude.
Yeah.
It's
You
frowned
can't do that
upon
on
to
the
do
ship.
it too much because the planning link won't set.
Well, that's the other thing, right? Isn't that why like Marines a lot of times would have planning link failures in their jet because the pilots would flare, and it's the landing gear on that thing is designed. I mean, go to any air show and look at a Navy carrier plane compared to an Air Force
Oh,
plane.
dude.
Like it's very obvious what they're designed to do.
Yeah,
Like
if you did that with a Viper, the strut would
you
go
would
through the
buckle
wing.
it. Yeah.
Yeah.
You would buckle it.
it's
Oh,
it's
dear.
it's not like this. It's like this, you know.
Yeah,
So
there's-
all that
it's-
energy is going.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Okay. Well, thank you
So-
for the information, fellas.
It is pretty
Um,
awesome. Though. It is.
I think it's time for the mental health minute. What do you guys think?
I'm not 100% sure what we're talking about. So cool.
Yeah, you'll get there. Hold on. John says, Gonky, I have a 3-year-old super reader for you. How can I get an autographed copy of the Navy Jet coloring book? If he's a 3-year-old super reader, he's probably too advanced.
John, he's smarter than the average Marine. No, it's just
Dude,
kidding.
aren't you working on a book like with words?
Yes, I
What
actually have.
happened with that?
I have 2 that are in the works. But dude, I just
Gonky is branching out. Breaking news. Gonky's going to
Gonky
start
will be
books
writing a book with words soon.
with words.
kids books. All right, so I started to go down that path, and I realized it was a little
It's
bit
hard to write a book with
right,
words.
a little bit out of my
Come
capability.
together in a sentence, if you will.
No, it's so I'm having a hard time finding an illustrator and editor. I've gone through a couple, and I just thought, I was like, you know what? I'm going to pause on this book project and work on these other book projects. Because my son, we homeschool him, and, you know, he colors, he learning his, you know, letters and numbers and stuff. So I'm like, I can make stuff my own kid can use like right now. So that's why I kind of went that route. But John, shoot me an email, man. GonkyReadyRoom@gmail.com. I just added it in my
Look
whatever
at you.
that's
Look
called.
at you.
And
Look
yeah,
at
just
so-
shoot me an email, man.
There you go. Gonky, Ready Room.
Yeah. If anybody has any questions, that's it. And I'll forward it to Mover, the hard ones. So
Just CC Mover on it.
Just
cut out the middleman.
Okay. All right. Let's talk mental health. Even though we did a whole thing on mental health here in a little bit, today's mental health topic is actually what we were going to talk about last week. Service before self, acts of service. It is something that I think a lot of mental health professionals talk about when you're in a rough spot and life's not great. It's kind of the last thing you think about too. The last thing you think about is, well, how am I going to help others if I'm in a spot that's bad for myself? But from experience, especially last year, it helped me. And as a lot of you know, I've got a lot of irons in the fire sometimes. And one of them is I'm a volunteer reserve deputy with the sheriff's office. And last year, a lot of bad things were happening career-wise and just in general. And I took that as an opportunity to get out of the house because I felt like if I stayed home and thought about it, I would descend into, I'd spiral. But what I found was that doing acts of service, going out there and feeling like you're helping people, it doesn't have to be sheriff, it could be whatever, but the act of service itself, feeling like you are making a difference in somebody else's life in what you believe, what you feel is selfless. And that could be anything. It could be like Wombats, Wake for Warriors. It could be Gonky, at the church. Anything that you go out and you're doing something for someone else often will allow you to get out of the rut and realize that, number one, it puts your problems into perspective. Because especially when I was out there, when you're out there helping people and you go to some of these calls, you realize a lot of people have it worse. My problems aren't as big as I thought. And when you put your problems into perspective, that kind of gives you that opportunity to step back and go, okay, well, it's not the end of the world and it's not as bad as I thought. And now I have a purpose that allows me to go and rise above it. And I'm not defined by whatever's going on in my life at this time. So that's kind of my pitch for this mental health minute is find something that, first of all, talk to somebody. If you're going through something, talk to somebody, whether it's professional, whether it's a friend. Lean on your wingman, lean on the people in your life. If you don't have anybody, there's always 988. There's veteran suicide assistance hotlines. There's mental health counselors. There are all kind of avenues of support. But for me, going out there and doing that, number one, like I talked about, being able to see that, hey, it's not so bad. But two, it gave me a sense of belonging. I was part of a team, and being part of that team where everything outside of that seemed like it was kind of crumbling because I was literally being persecuted. I felt like somebody in my life had my back. And that is important too, is that sense of belonging, that sense of somebody's there for you. And you'll find when you go do these volunteer organizations, even if something is attacking you on another part of your life, you will find that sense of belonging because you're pulled together when together. Even if it's something as simple as, doing volunteering in an animal shelter or volunteering, to build houses, you have that sense of belonging, whereas you might not have it in other parts of your life. So even though it may be a little bit selfish to go, hey, I'm volunteering for me, well, you're still doing something for the greater good. And eventually it will work out and you'll feel a lot better and you'll feel like you've actually accomplished something. Fellas.
Yeah, Mover, that's you've said a lot. And you're probably one of the guys that volunteers I don't know anybody that volunteers more time than you do. Kind of like when you first started the whole Make Them Tell You No Facebook page and kind of asked me to help, and like even like doing this show, like me, Wombat, Doug, we're all, on here just, sharing stories and trying to help people really. You brought up, at church, I'm a Christian, Jesus came down here to serve, I serve at the church, which is I just open doors. And, it's funny, when I first joined the church, I was like, well, best way to get to know people is to become involved. Right. And, like you being a sheriff, you become involved in your community, right? You get to know, you learn so much. It opens up so many avenues to meet people and experience things, where if you're completely self-consumed and focused on yourself, I mean, it always leads to a bad place, in my opinion, because I think generally as people, we can never be satisfied. Like we can never satisfy our own desires and wants and, consumption. Right. So, the whole, just helping somebody. I mean, if you've ever done a good deed, right? Everybody's done a good deed and you just feel good about it, and that's something that, I mean, if you're having a down day, I mean, that's one way to pick it up, man. Go help somebody. Cause like you said, Mover, there's definitely somebody out there that probably has it worse than you.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, you guys have said it. I normally have a lot to add to this. I really don't. Like, I mean, you've nailed it. I think when I was going through my stuff early on in my career, I didn't really volunteer. I kind of kept to myself and did my thing. And later on in life, I've gotten way more involved in stuff like you'd mentioned, Wake for Worse, things like that, or just, I mean, it doesn't have to be something huge. Sometimes answering an email or helping somebody at work or listening, right? I mean, it doesn't take much. If you have a friend going through something, just, the littlest acts of kindness makes such a big difference at the end of the day. And I can tell you, things I've gone through later in my life, career, aren't necessarily any smaller than the things I was going through earlier in my career, but I think I've been able to handle them a lot better. And this is a large part why, is because it gets you out of your own head. I think that's the big thing. When you're going through something, dude, you're your own worst enemy, man, because all you do is think about it. That's it. Nothing else matters. You get down this rabbit hole of self-doubt and how everything is just piling up and piling up and piling up. And, by doing this, by volunteering, and again, it's on a million different levels, it allows you to at least break that chain of thought and you could think of something else. And that moment gives you a moment of clarity, you know, a moment of peace, right? We've all been there where you're going through something, you can't sleep, right? Because the minute you wake up, your brain's going a million miles a minute. You know, so by doing this, it 100% just, it gives you that moment of clarity. And, you know, one of the things I've talked about on this channel before and other channels and just to other people is, you know, one of the things that I was taught growing up was, you know, at the end of the day, when you're brushing your teeth, you look yourself in the mirror, and if you did well that day, you've earned your sleep. But if you haven't, you're going to think about it all night. And, you know, this type of stuff doesn't differ at all. I'll tell you, it's real easy to look myself in the mirror after a Wake for Warriors event and know that I brought some good, if nothing other than, you know, driving a boat and comic relief when they put me behind the boat for how bad I am at the sport, you know, or something like that. But I brought good so I can sleep well. You know, it's the same thing, Gonky, I'm sure you can attribute, like, you know, doing stuff with your kids and things like that. Like, it's easy to know with that you've done something. So, but again, it's that time that gets you out of your own head, you know, and our brains are, I'm not a smart guy, but I do know our brains are strong and they can manipulate us in ways that, you know, it doesn't matter how much you can lift, how fast you can run, you know, your brain is your biggest muscle, and it's either on your side or not. And if you can control this, and I think this is a huge way to control it, is puts things in perspective, gives you clarity, and gives you a way to kind of get through the next few moments. You give yourself a shot.
So you guys brought up a good point that I wish I'd have talked about it in my opening, because it's very valid. When we talk about volunteering yourself, it doesn't have to be an organization. Gonky, you brought up a great point. When people come to us and say, "Hey, what do I do to be the best number one in pilot training? How do I do that? Number one in pilot training?" I said, first off, you stop thinking about being number one in pilot training. But second, the best way to be good in pilot training is to help. And we don't say that because it's some altruistic, you know, service before self, excellence in all we do, core values and all that stuff. It's because it makes you better. If you can teach it, you will exponentially be better at whatever you're doing if you can go out and help somebody else be better. If you can, you know, the rising tide raises all ships. And if you can go out and help somebody else, it will make you better. You will learn something, no matter if it's pilot training, if it's officer training school, OCS, whatever, police academy, just daily life. If you can go out and make somebody's day better, you are going to make yourself better. And so I think that's the service before self. It's not, some of it is selfish because you go out there and you're like, "Hey, I'm going to make myself better," but you feel good. You know, we did, with Luna, we started the therapy dog thing. We were joking about doing the runway stuff earlier, but the things I have seen that dog do with people, the reactions, people in wheelchairs, people that can't, you think of yourself, right? You're like, "Man, what would happen if that happened to me? I don't know if I could make it." And you see somebody smile for the first time and you see them light up and you look at that and you go, "Well, that made their day, but guess what? It just made mine too." Because look what we just did. Look at what just happened. So I think it is important. People don't talk about it enough. I mean, even if you just look at it selfishly, it'll make you better. It'll make you a better person. So,
Doug,
that's it.
What do you think, Doug?
Yeah, Doug.
You're the smart guy on this stuff.
Don't label me like that. I think,
well, relatively speaking, Doug, so, I mean, the bar's pretty low.
I feel better.
There you go.
I mean, I can't say anything more than you guys have. It's in our DNA. Altruism is a human characteristic. It's there for a reason. It makes us feel good. One of the folks in the comments just said oxytocin, and that's it. It gives you an endorphin hit. It makes you feel good. It's good for you. Fill out your organ donor card. Give blood.
Yeah,
it'll pay you back.
Yeah. All right. Reattacks on that before we move on to more stuff that's going to get us canceled.
There's a couple of really good starred comments on the mental health minute.
Okay. Well, all right. No, well, let's do that then. How
Hey.
do I say that?
Saeed,
Saeed,
yeah.
Sayed. Thanks for the great show. The mental health minute segments helped me as a cop and in my decision to leave a toxic department for a better agency in Florida.
Awesome.
As a cop, I 100% support that because you have to know that when the shit hits the fan, they have your back. If you can't go out there and do your job and feel like your admin's got your back, you're at the wrong agency. Period. It's too dangerous. You know, it's just too difficult of a job in today's world to be able to go out there and be alone on an island. So 100%, you have to do it. You have to do it for your physical safety, not just your mental health. Cheddar says 6.90. Thank you.
Thanks, Cheddar. It's a good number.
John, service is what prayer looks like when it gets up off its knees and walks around in the world. Michael J. Graham,
Wow.
SJ.
Thanks, John.
It's true.
It's awesome. Yeah, that's really just a really thing. Ray says, damn, thanks, Ray.
Hey, Ray.
Great show, gentlemen. Keep doing what you're doing, especially the mental health minute. Happy Thanksgiving.
Happy Thanksgiving.
Happy Thanksgiving. See, and then we should have talked about being thankful, but we already did that one.
That's true. Gosh, it is Thanksgiving. Isn't
It is Thanksgiving. We could have done something.
Not today, right? What day of the week is it? I'm so confused right now.
Today is
working too
Monday.
much.
Today's Monday. And then Joe just says, Airwolf, $10. Thank you, Airwolf. We have some voice messages this time. We didn't have any in the last couple of weeks. So this first one is from Bjorn. No, it's from Bjorn. We're not there yet.
Oh.
Good evening, Cornwallis. Good evening, Trevor. It's Bjorn here.
And Wombat.
Guys, I was wondering, why do normal planes have a yoke and fighter planes have a stick? Why don't all planes, for instance, have a stick or even a yoke? I hope you could elaborate on that and why the difference is as it is. Thank you. Have a nice evening. Bye-bye.
The P-38 had a yoke.
I would argue the normal plane is the stick, but go on.
I agree.
I honestly don't know. That's a great.
Maybe add a snack tray to that stick, even better.
Back in the day, they actually had a steering wheel, right?
How'd you lose so much weight with a snack tray?
I don't fly much.
You
they
can
don't put snacks in the sim.
You can lock it.
Yeah.
No, I that's a tough one. I don't know, honestly.
Yeah.
I mean, do you obviously like flying with a stick better?
Oh yeah.
Gonky?
I
done most of. I mean, when was the last thing you flew with a yoke?
A Piper or something. I don't know.
Yeah.
Well, 100% speculation here, but weren't they like wheels at first?
It used to be like steering wheels, so maybe as like a car reference. I don't know.
Boat.
Or boat. Yeah,
I bet it's from a boat, dude. I bet it has something to do with a boat.
You're right. I bet so.
That's why some airliner pilots look like submariner captains.
Especially with their hats on. Anyways.
Their hats.
A lot of power in a hat. That's all.
Next.
There's a lot of power.
Did you see the thumbnail I did for the Delta one with the big hat, and then the other guy had the Raylan Givens hat?
It's a lot of power.
I liked it.
Power. Yeah, there you go.
I just want to point out what an aircraft nerd Gonky is. I thought I was good.
Yeah, P-38, man. Come
Gonky's
on.
smarter than he looks.
I got a lot of.
You almost have to be, right?
A lot of useless knowledge. It helps with the coloring books.
I did not appreciate the yoke, although it is good for control. Because then I always, before I became an airline guy, because in Cessnas they teach you the one-handed thing. So when I would see on TV people two-hand yoke, I'm like, nobody flies like that. Then I got to the 737, I'm like, why? That's the only way you can.
Wait, you guys fly really
two-handed? Mm-hmm.
What do you do with the thrust?
It's doing its own thing. It's auto throttles.
Just like in the sky bus, dude. You don't touch the thrust levers in the sky bus.
I put my hand on them.
Oh yeah, I rest my hand
arm rest.
Yeah.
Well, in like the initial part of takeoff, and well, not for takeoff because I'm an FO and I'm not allowed to do my own aborts. So do they let y'all do your own rejected takeoffs, and you can't call for you can't even I can't even call for one.
No, you can call for it.
I can't call for it. I can suggest, but I'm not allowed to say.
That's interesting because in the Hawkeye, we flew single-handed on the yoke.
Really?
I mean, you've seen the landing.
That's because you're
Like-
you're ball flying, right? It didn't have
Yeah.
auto throttles or thrust.
No,
Yeah.
there's nothing auto in a Hawkeye except for
Very
auto
rarely.
landing.
I don't even think they let you click off the auto throttles until you're like in the last 50 feet or so.
Really?
Yeah.
We can click it off whenever. I just
Yeah,
not
nobody does.
Some guy, yeah.
How do I fly this thing?
It's been a while. It's been a minute.
When I was,
I don't know.
when I was an FO, I'd love the captains that like at 1,500 feet, you'd hear the autopilot and then the auto thrust, and you're like, oh, God.
yeah, you're like son of a gun. It's like, hold on, let me prepare to
Yeah.
take this.
Yeah,
thing.
well, because it was like 15 seconds of like, is this guy just think he's good? Or does he fly like tail draggers somewhere and he's actually a legit pilot? You know what I mean? But
Right.
All right. Next voice message. We got this. We did not make any of this. This was sent to us.
Oh,
Okay.
is this the one
You're
that
gonna
is
be
this
triggered.
cancel?
yes.
Yeah, it's gonna get us
I
canceled.
need let's do this.
All right. Are we ready? Some people are gonna be so this message comes to us in a speech, actually.
Ooh, speeches.
That was recently made by a certain president.
He's my commander.
And here it goes.
Before I finish my term, I'm going to transfer Major Hartsock back to the Navy, and I'm putting him in charge of, the thing. I'll also put him in charge of crayons and coloring books for the Marines, because I'm sure Lieutenant Hartsock will love flying the F-35 Panther painted with all the pretty colors.
I love how he demoted me too. I went from
You forgot.
to
You
03.
forgot.
It's
At
not
least
really a
you're still an
promotion.
officer.
Yeah, it was-
Yeah,
At least you're
you're
still an
always a
officer.
lieutenant. Let's be honest.
Dude,
But
that technology is so scary.
Not to be
Very
outdone, though.
scary.
No.
In a recent speech by his leading opponent,
Yeah.
uh,
We're not political here. Both sides of the spectrum.
we're getting both sides of this. If the other candidate wins, he's made a couple promises, so we're gonna have to weigh it and see what the audience thinks is more better. We're gonna get so canceled on this.
Oh, totally, dude. This one's good.
I said mo better, but especially what we're. All right, here we go. Trigger warning.
When I become president again, I'm going to promote Major Lemoine to 4-star general and put him in charge of our Air Force, because right now our Air Force is a total disaster. Then I'm going to have General Lemoine reactivate all the SR-71 Blackbirds, which never should have been retired in the first place. Then we're going to restart the Raptor production line, build 750 Raptors, and equip them with all the sensors from the F-35. Then we're going to take every single fat Amy and send them to the bottom of the ocean.
Oh,
So scary.
dude, that is
It's so
scary.
scary. It's so technology is scary, man.
So
Oh,
canceled
You
now.
need to go by land in Montana or Idaho.
That was from viewer Nate.
Yeah.
Thank you for
Thanks,
that.
man.
That
That's
was
freaking pure comedy.
yeah, dude. I'm all for it. You know, I'll take the promotion.
I kind of hope you do get promoted.
We'll fix some things.
I don't think that's
Uh,
where that one's going to go. Just so we're
Can I
clear.
fly the SR-71?
I don't think
Uh,
you have to worry about the promotion board coming first from that.
There's no board. If he just says it, it happens. There's no board.
Called a field promotion.
Yeah. That's what happens in
Why your
times
commander-
of crisis.
Wait, we're not in a crisis.
We're in an existential crisis.
I was going to say, when have we not been in a crisis?
Oh, dude,
Yeah.
that's pure comedy.
Oh,
Awesome.
man.
Thanks, Nate, for doing that. That
Yeah,
was
that's
hilarious.
awesome.
Gonky's, yours is not as good.
No.
It was good.
Is that by design?
Quality. I'm just
Fair and balanced.
fair and balanced. We are
We are
both
fair
sides
and
of
balanced
the spectrum. What spectrum we're on, we don't know.
Mm.
Spectrums.
Spectrums. We are on some levels, and we've gone off the rails.
Spectra.
but
Sounds
Spectra.
so real. It sounds so
that
real.
was creepy.
Yeah.
It's very
The-
creepy.
The Trump one sounded more realistic than the Biden one.
I don't know. That
I
one
don't
seemed
know
like
that.
it was confusing, and I didn't understand what's happening. That's pretty
True.
good.
Oh,
How did I get
sorry, was
promoted?
Wombat, stop! You're gonna
How
get
did
us
I get-
canceled.
How did I get promoted and go back to lieutenant? I'm like, wait.
Yeah. No, that checks out. Actually, that logic makes sense from him.
Thank you, thank you,
100%.
thank you, Douglas. Yeah.
Sorry.
Well, so what have we learned today?
Canceled.
We know all the trigger words. We've covered that. So please send all emails in metric, and don't say the A word on Twitter. Look at Wombat's face. He's sorry. I'm sorry. I didn't say it.
There's gonna be so many stupid emails.
I didn't say it. I didn't say it though. I didn't say it.
I'd like to apologize to anybody who emails me or messages me in the next 24 hours that actually has a logical message, because they're going to get lost.
Wombat is
all
in
of the stupid messages.
Is in his mean girl phase right now, so you're not going to get anything nice. He's the girl that had her glow up, and now all of a sudden he's mean and driving a Porsche. He's the hot girl in a Porsche now.
Hey, if you keep it up, I'm not going to let you drive it. All right.
Yeah.
Well, are you bringing it down here? Is that how much of a driver it is? Hey, Shanghai's in the comments. Hey, Shanghai. You guys watched his show? It's pretty good. He's got 8:10.
Like almost
8:10. No, it's on Wednesdays, not on Mondays. Which we were gonna move to Tuesdays, and then we didn't because of Casmo, and then Casmo dropped his show, and then like, well, okay, I guess thanks, Casmo. Oh boy, so John says start the mean girl memes now. Oh, dude. Oh, what have we done?
You just need to stop.
Wombat's gonna be mad at me.
No,
can we maybe go through 2 full Mover and Gonky shows before I'm pissed off about being on the Mover and Gonky?
I state my regret.
Felt shallow. I'm not gonna lie. Felt shallow.
I have stated my regret.
Can you see that meme where it's like money can't buy you happiness, and then it's a guy crying driving around in his Porsche? That's where my head's at right now. So go ahead and make fun. I don't care. Like, knock yourself out. Just be driving around smiling.
Yeah, but you're not jolly.
I'm jolly.
We miss Jolly Wombat. Bring back the Jolly Wombat.
Not fat anymore. That's different.
That would be an awesome ship name, the Jolly Wombat.
Mm-hmm. That would be.
That's a hell of a pirate name. Doug, write that down. We're going to use that in the book.
Oh, that's a good handle. That's a good handle.
Yeah, dude, that's like a space pirate ship, the Jolly Wombat. They were raided by the Jolly Wombat.
Anyway, what else are we?
Oh, we got
another comment, right?
Unobservant me just noticed Mover has a beard again. Did Gonky change his employment contract?
No.
I just haven't. Gonky has yet to show up at this new job. I'm not 100% sure it's happening.
That checks out. He's the supervisor, right? So why would he actually?
Yeah. That's how this works, Mover. You work for me.
Yeah. Wow. Wow. That took a turn quick. You see how quickly he went into that mode?
I feel like Gonky should be driving the Porsche.
Lieutenant Hartsock is the boss.
I don't know if you just saw, but in 2025, it's Major General. No.
That's
what's that? Be my little general. It's just general.
It's just general, right?
That's how they taught us to remember it in OTS.
Kids that are watching, one day you could have all of this if you work really hard and don't be a douche.
Yeah, pretty much.
This could be all yours.
I'm pretty much the douche. That's why I'm here, Wombat, and not telling the stories of Fat Amy channel changes. Because I have no upward mobility. Plexi says Wombat is the low-key funniest dude on the show.
Plexi.
Come on, dude.
I disagree, Plexi. It's not low-key at all.
On the show. Like, I was gonna agree when he's like funniest dude somewhere tonight.
I could see that, Plexi.
Yeah, okay.
Wombat has a special kind of humor.
Yeah, it's one that comes with not giving a damn anymore
about anything. Great, I love it.
I don't care.
Douglas, parting shots.
I have nothing.
Okay.
I've got nothing.
Wombat, last
Nada.
word to you, since you're the best and everybody loves. You know what they said? People commented on my walking the thing with Luna, and they said, "Well, if Wombat and Gonky had done it, they'd be getting money thrown at them." I'm like,
Whoa, done what? I'm interested.
walk the catwalk.
$20 is $20.
Not
$20, dude.
not the ugly girl. If it hadn't, the ugly girl with this fat dog, it had money thrown at us.
I'm not sure how Wombat and I could monetize that walk, to be honest.
Oh, I could.
Well, I don't
know.
know. Yeah, see, look, you've got more talent than me, dude. I don't know.
No,
I would have
just
probably
mind
fallen
selling
off the
out
end.
for money. Like it doesn't, whatever. I'll do anything. I got nothing, man. Thanks for having me on. Website's coming up soon. Better website.
Nice.
That's big. We're gonna throw
Nice.
some sales and some cool stuff. So it's actually professionally done.
New merch for me: hoodies and. Did you do hoodies, Gonky?
Yeah.
Hoodies.
Yeah, a couple.
It's wintertime, dude.
Yeah.
Hoodies and long sleeve shirts. And a Christmas
What you
ornament.
got?
There's a Christmas ornament now too.
Really? You've got a Christmas ornament?
It's when it comes in, I'll demo it on the
Alright.
tree. We're gonna
I'll have to
erect
get me
the
one.
Christmas tree for the next episode. It'll be there.
Oh
Wow.
yeah, after Thanksgiving.
So you guys have a lot more swag than I do. I need to get more swag.
Dude, I don't know.
You need a keychain and some shoes.
Oh,
Sorry.
boy.
Good night, everybody.
Good night.